So, hello everybody, welcome to, the final book of Lone Wolf's adventures as a Kai Master. I mean, it's not the final book, because there will be many more adventures after this one, but it's the final volume of this, of this footnote of him being a Kai Master. So, we're not gonna read the entire story so far. Like, if you remember well, when after our victory at Tehu, we ended up we pretty much ended up having a surprise visit from Gnaag, who is the Darklord of Helgedad, who is our big nemesis right now, saying that he stole all of the remaining Lorestones of Nyxator, so we had to go all the way to the fortress of Torgar in order to get them back. We have successfully managed to get one of them until that Gnaag decided to send us into a trap of his, which was an interdimensional portal that just sent us to the world of Daziarn, which is pretty much a crazy parallel universe where nothing really made a whole lot of sense. When we were there, we managed to find the two remaining lore stones, but in so doing, we ended up having to fight a literal god of evil with our super sword that puts us into the worst kind of fights ever. And then we ended up having some sort of encounter with our own god, and then finally we ended up having to fight an old enemy of ours, Vonotar the Traitor, in order to be able to actually make all of our way back to the Shadow Gate as well as the final lore stone. So now the Magnakai Quest is actually complete. We are going all of the way back into our own world in order to finally put our arch nemesis out of history for good. So, before we do so, it's time for the equipment, because, this time we actually get to have an equipment. Remember, last time we couldn't have any because we were currently diving into a death portal of sort, but, wait, we're still doing the same thing, but I mean, we're getting the inventory after the interplanetary or interworldly dimensional world. So, alright. Before you leave Toran and begin your fateful mission, Benedon gives you a map of the Darkland and a pouch of gold. Alright. It's time to figure out how much gold we're gonna end up having. Choose automatically, take a number, and add plus 10, 16 gold. Oops, okay. It's like, nah, I need to actually short that out. Okay, so now what's even our money situation? 26. Okay, we can have 4 more. We can have 5 more gold. Because we can have 24 crowns. Okay, so 4 plus 12. 33. And now time to get 2 more, to get 6 items into the following list. Oh yeah, Benedon also makes available a choice of equipment to help you survive in the hostile enemy heartland. For the voyage into the cold waters of the Kalter Sea, you are given special fur-lined clothing, sturdy boots, and a hooded cape made from waterproof Calcut hide. You may also take 6 items from the following list. Remember, you can only carry 2 weapons and 8 backpack items. Sword, bow, quiver. I mean, we need to restock our quiver. Let's go and take some more arrows. Yeah, but we're gonna have to go through there in order to be able to get to the Darklands. That's like the easiest way in order to get there. If anything, yeah, that's right. Probably should display the map for the people out there. So yeah, essentially, our adventure into this one book, we start all the way there, and yeah, we're going into the sea over there, and our goal is gonna be to go all the way over there. So yeah, that's gonna be a shitload of walking in perspective. Okay, apart from that, what do we need? A rope. Do we have a rope? Okay, we do have a rope. We could take a potion of healing. Alright, Loam Spur, 4 EP. A lantern, I mean, we've got the fire sphere. A mace, 4 meals, dagger, quarterstaff, axe. I mean, let's bring meals in case that, you know, we're gonna have to end up bribing something out here. Right now, we don't need to eat anymore because we've got Hunter Mastery that allows us to never starve no matter where we are in the world. So therefore, we are perfect. So, okay, at this point, everything is all okay and ready to go. So, Magnakai Wisdom. Yeah, your mission to destroy Darklord Gnaag will be fraught with awesome dangers. Yay, awesome! Be secretive and be on your guard at all time, for the creatures of the Darkland will stop at nothing to destroy you, should your return to Magnamund become known to them. Some of the things that you will find during your mission will be of use to you, and some may be red herrings of no real value. If this is your first Magnakai adventure, be sure to choose your 3 Magnakai discipline with care, for a wise choice enables any player to complete the quest no matter how weak combat skill and endurance are. Successful completion of a previous Lone Wolf adventure, although an advantage is not essential for the completion of this Magnakai adventure. Like, this book would be hard to beat if that was your first book, but unlike The Prisoner of Time, you might have a chance at beating it. At last, the chance to avenge the massacre of the Kai is within your grasp. The restoration of your warrior brotherhood and the future of Magnamund depend on your success. May the spirit of your ancestors and the wisdom of the great god Kai guide you to victory in the fulfillment of your destiny. Upon entering the Shadow Gate, you are submerged in total darkness and fall into a lightless void. Relentlessly, you are buffeted and numbed by an intense coldness that drains the strength from your body and fills your mind with strange, dreamlike images. It is as if you are being sucked into the heart of a swirling black abyss, and as your sense fade, you pray that you have enough strength to survive your return to Magnamund. Barely a flicker of consciousness remains when the sensation of warmth returns to your frozen limbs. It revives you, and slowly you become aware of a fluorescent mist and a pinpoint of light in the far distance. The sensation of falling is replaced by a smooth forward movement, as if you are gliding to a halt at the end of a steep slide. Rapidly, the tiny light grows larger until suddenly you emerge from the darkness and find yourself standing in a place that you recognize immediately. Alright, pick a number from the random number table. 0 equals 10. The number you've picked represents the number of endurance points lost during our passage through the Shadow Gate. Okay, we only lost 3 endurance points. Alright, deduct this number and let's go. With your heart pounding in anticipation, you cast your gaze around the grey granite wall of a subterranean vault. Your journey through the Shadow Gate has returned you to the land of your birth. You are standing in the externment chamber, a room located deep below the guild hall of the Crystal Star in Toran. Facing you and illuminated by the glow of several tall candles is a line of throne-like seats. 2 men, both attired in silken robes, are seated at the center of the row, their heads bowed and their hands clasped in silent prayer. The sound of your footsteps steer them from their meditation as they raise their heads, you recognize the face of your friend, Benadon, and your tutor, Lord Rimor, speaker for the High Council of the Elder Magi. Yep, here they are, the nerds. The gods be praised! Breathes Rimor, his eyes wide with astonishment. Skarn has returned! The prophecy's fulfilled! Slowly they rise and step forward to greet you, their movements hesitant and uncertain, scarcely able to believe that you are alive. Calmly you assure them that they are not dreaming, that you have indeed survived your exile to the Daziarn plane and have returned, more determined than ever to avenge yourself upon Darklord Gnaag. Eagerly, Rumoa and Benedon listen as you recount your experiences in the Daziarn, and when you have finished, they tell you what have befallen Magnamund during your absence. Although it seemed that you spent little more than a few days in the Daziarn, more than 8 years have passed since Gnaag caused you to fall in the Shadow Gate of Torgar. He was quick to proclaim your death, says Benedon, unfurling a map of northern Magnamund upon the floor of the chamber. The news came as a terrible blow to us all. Lord Grimoire kneels and points at the map, indicating the city of Torgar with the tip of a slender crystal rod. After your disappearance, Lord Adamus was killed, and the Allies' armies were quickly ejected from Torgar. Gnaag declared himself invincible, and in the wake of his victory, the Darklord defeats were soon halted throughout central Magnamund. A terrible sense of hopelessness befell the Allies, which was exploited to the full by the malevolent Gnaag. His sorcerers, the Daziarn, created devices that they call Thanos to Core, to enable each of the Darklords to survive in territories outside their accursed realm. Previously, they had been unable to survive beyond the Darklands for any great length of time, and during these rare, brief excursions, their powers were greatly reduced. Now they are able to lead their armies in battle personally, and they've been eager to exercise their newfound freedom. The war against the Darklord is all but lost, continues Benedon, his eyes cast down at the map, which is covered with black markers indicating the frightening numbers of countries Gnaag has added to his empire. With the help of our allies in Duranor, Summerlone has so far resisted his attempt at invasion. But now we find ourselves cut off from Duranor's aid by a blockade of Darklord warship. Here, he says, pointing to the Gulf of Helgedad, is where Gnaag has constructed a huge naval base. It is called Helgedad, and it is from here that he launches his fleet of ironclad warships to blockade our coast. The Sumlanding Navy is no match for these monstrous sea machines, and without the troops, food, and weapons we have been receiving by sea from Duranor, our days are numbered. Lord Grimoire rises to his feet and stares fixedly into your eyes. Your skill, bravery, and your vow to avenge the death of the Kai are the keys to our salvation. Only you, Lone Wolf, can save us now. You are our only hope in this hour of darkness. Oh yeah, let's get ourselves our endurance point back. It's like at this point the entrance into the Shadow Gate kinda is pointless because we're just slowly getting our endurance point back. 3 months ago, on the day that you Sumlanding celebrate your feast of Femarn, I foresaw in a dream your return to this world. The place and the hour of your coming, says Grimoire, reverently. I, and all my brothers, held this dream to be a sign from the god Kai that you had not died at Torgar, and since that day we have prepared for your return so that we may help you fulfill your vow and deliver us all from the tyranny of the Darklords. With the aid of Guildmaster Benedon, we have conceived a plan that can secure a lasting victory. Defeat of the Darklords on the field of battle is now impossible. The Allied armies are greatly outnumbered and are hard-pressed to protect what little remains of the free lands. The only way in which we can rid ourselves of this evil is by destroying Gnaag and the Transfuser, the device that transmits power to the Thanos to Core. Both of them are in Helgedad. To hear the name of that foul city spoken aloud is enough to send a shiver down your spine, and the thought of daring to venture there to destroy its ruler fills you with cold dread. It is a daunting task that we ask you to attempt, Lone Wolf, says Benedon, sensing your anxiety, but only you have any hope of succeeding in this desperate mission. It may be of some comfort to learn that, with the Darklords leading their armies in the field, the defenses of the Black City are now at their weakest. Only Gnaag and his second-in-command, Darklord Tactal, reside there at present. You spoke of a plan, you said, returning your gaze to the wise face of Lord Grimoire. Without replying, he bends down and pulls out a leather sack from beneath the chair on which he sat when you entered the chamber. It contains what appears to be a mass of triangular crystals that are fused together. At once you recognize... Oh, the alerts are not working! Ow! At once you recognize its purpose. It is a powerful charge, similar to the one which Lord Animus used to destroy the Torgar Gate. This will put paid to the transfuser, said Rimo, holding up the crystal explosive. He points to a shard that is longer than the other and informs you that the device is activated by withdrawing and reinserting it tip first into the core. It must be placed beneath the transfuser and it will detonate exactly 15 minutes after it is prime. Okay, none of the alerts have chimed. Okay. Nah, you haven't missed much. Right now it's exposition time. Carefully replaces the explosive into the sack and offers it to you. But how am I to gain entry to Helgedad, you ask, as you accept the deadly package tentatively. We have made preparations, answered Benedon, pointing once more to the map. A caravel is anchored in Toran Harbor. Under cover of darkness, it will run the blockade and then head east to deceive the enemy into thinking that it is bound for Duranor. When safe to do so, it will turn about and steer a course for Deshkata. The shallows there are free of pack ice at this time of the year, and the captain should be able to land you on the coast close to the Gnaag estuary. From there, you must make your way on foot to the stronghold of Gnaag and seek out the slave master. He is one of our agents and can be trusted. Make yourself known to him by saying the words, Summerland is burning. He alone knows where in Helgedad the transfuser is located, and he can arrange for your safe and secret passage into the city. Once inside, you must destroy Gnaag and the transfuser as quickly as possible. I'm trying to not spit on anyone, I'm sorry. And once the task is complete, how then do I effect an escape, you ask? You must make your way back to Gnaag. The demise of the Darklords will announce the success of your mission, and we shall then mount an expedition to bring you safely home. But until then, no one must know your true identity or the reason for your journey to Helgedad. Silently, you contemplate the awesomeness of this mission, its dangers, and the terrible consequences that will befall Magnamund should you fail. At length, you raise your eyes from the map and force a smile. When must I leave? You ask bravely. Tomorrow night, Benedon replies. An hour after sunset. Mark the crystal explosive on your action chart as a special item. If you already carry the maximum number of special items, you must discard one. Okay. Now, what do we get rid of? Oh, we get rid of nothing! Alright, there we go. Alright, do we have the summer sword? Yes. Alright, first of all, let's get our endurance back. You wield a weapon imbued with great power, Lone Wolf, says Rimor, glancing at the summer sword sheathed at your side. Be sure to use it well. Now that you possess the wisdom of the Lorestones, you will discover new strengths within its golden blade. It is the bane of the Darklords, the instrument of their destruction. Yet by the very nature of its power, it can alert them to your presence and betray your identity. He reaches to his waist and unbuckles a seemingly plain leather sword belt and scabbard. I have prepared the scabbard from materials impregnated with coralinium. It will contain and keep hidden the power of the summer sword, he says, handing you the accoutrement. Remember, to unsheath the summer sword inside the Darklands is to light a beacon of warning that Gnaag and his fell minions will surely see. Only when you have Gnaag within striking distance shall you draw your blade to seal his doom. You discard your whole scabbard in favor of Rimoros and take heed of his advice. Mark the Corlinium scabbard as a special item. You need not to discard another item if you already carry the number of items. Okay. That's actually nice. It's like at that point, what exactly do we do with this? Yeah, let's lower this. Special items. No way. Oops, no. I need to lower this a little bit more. Yeah, let's play Google Documents. Boy, this is amazing. So hold on, how do I destroy the line in the middle? No. Wait. Ah! It's like I did. No, I know what I need to do. Alright. Okay, merge horizontally. Alright. Coliniums. Okay, so now. Okay. One moment. I just need to. Okay, how do I. That's right. I need to also do this. Don't mind me, we're just doing stuff. Okay, copy. Okay, there we go. You pass the time prior to your departure, resting and reviewing the mission in fine detail. Eventually, the hour of your leaving arrives, and Benedon and Remo escort you to Torren Harbor and see you safely aboard the caravel Intrepid. Before they disembark, Benedon hands you a sealed envelope and a golden amulet on a chain. Wear this for your protection, he says, as he fastens the chain around your neck. It will keep you safe from the heat and poisonous atmospheres that pervade your destination. Alright, mark golden amulet. You need not to discard another item if you already have the maximum. Okay, alright. And the envelope? You say quizzically. Neither Captain Bors nor his volunteer crew are aware of your identity or the vital nature of your voyage. All they know is that they are expected to break through the blockade and carry you safely to Duranor. When you are clear of the enemy, hand this envelope to the captain. It contains his new order to steer course for the Gnaag estuary. He's a fine captain. You can trust in his skill and the bravery of his crew to see you through the dangerous waters of the Kalter Sea. Moments later, the captain emerges from his cabin. A grey and grizzled old seaman, he sports a leather cloak that swings easily from his broad, muscular shoulders. He welcomes you aboard with a ready smile and firm handshake, and then excuses himself in order to supervise the final preparation for the voyage. May the gods Kai and Ishir watch over you, Lone Wolf, whispers Lord Remo as he and Benedon make ready to disembark, and grant us a lasting victory over the forces of darkness. The night wind is blowing in your favor, and Captain Bors is keen to put to sea without delay. He has ordered the crew to run up every foot of canvas the mast of the Intrepid will bear, so that she will approach the Darklord warships that blockade the coast at full speed. With luck, she will slip through their line before they have a chance to close formation. It is a bold plan, but the captain and his crew have run the blockade more than a dozen times in the past year, and they are confident that tonight will also be successful. Guided by the stars and the distant glimmer of the moonlit shore, the Intrepid makes rapid headway through the waters of the Torren Gulf. I was gonna say the Torren Galuf. Whoops. The Torren Gulf. As it nears the open sea, you decide to offer your services as a lookout and go in search of Captain Bors. You find him on the forecastle deck with a group of keen-eyed Kirlunden Marines who are scanning the blackness for some sign of the enemy. Alright, do we have the discipline of Hunt Mastery and the rank of Archmaster? Yes, we do. Your greatly improved Magnakai skills enable you to see a string of dark shapes on the distant horizon. Enemy ships. The 5 squat, ugly-looking vessels all lack sails or masts, or any other visible form of propulsion, yet each moves at a constant and rapid pace. Galuf team. I don't know what this is. I mean, I can give it a try, don't get me wrong. Quickly you inform the captain of what you can see and urge him to change direction, for the Intrepid is now heading on a collision course with the vessel at the center of the enemy line. Pick a random number from the random number table. If you've completed the lore circle of the spirit, add 3. Okay, we got that. Yeah, hold on a second, my Sin gotta warm up before I can try to play the Galuf team. Okay, 3 plus 3 equals 6. Okay, alright. No, actually, we'll be better with that. Okay, I'm sorry. That was all I could do. Guided by your instructions, Captain Bors commands his helmsman to steer hard aport, a maneuver that will take the Intrepid clear of the enemy line. Swiftly the ship changes course. You watch the Darkland ironclads looming larger with each passing minute, and note the formidable array of weapons aboard their steel skin deck. Huge black funnels protrude from the middle of each craft, which emit clouds of choking, sulphurous smoke. As the Intrepid rounds the last ironclad in the line, this acrid smoke wafts across the water and engulfs the crew, causing them to cough and retch violently. The sound of their coughing alerts the enemy lookout, who immediately raise the alarm. Yep, there we go, ironclads. The Darklords have actually mastered technology, unlike us. Suddenly, a flash of blue-white light illuminates the bow of the ironclad and a fiery projectile arcs across the sky toward the Intrepid. Alright, pick a number from the random number table. Okay, number is 0 to 6. You throw yourself to the deck as the missile drops like a meteor from the sky. It passes overhead between the main and mizzen masts and then hits the water with a tremendous splash. The other enemy vessels start to turn to bring their weapons to bear, but the heavy iron ships are slow and cumbersome, and by the time they've altered position, the Intrepid is out of range and sailing at speed into the dully gleaming water of the Calter Sea. As the last of the enemy warships disappears into the dark, the crew give a rousing cheer. Once more they have risked their lives to run the blockade, and once again they live to tell the tale. The captain requests a damage report, and is relieved to hear that both his ship and crew has survived the close encounter at little cost. Before leaving the forecastle, he reminds the lookout to remain vigilant. Sometimes the enemy place a second line of ironclad a few miles behind the first in order to catch blockade runners that slip through. He bids you good night, and as he descends the stair to his cabin, he orders the first mate to show you to your quarters at the stern. Do we accompany the first mate to our cabin, or do we hand the captain the envelope that contains his new orders? Alright, orders, give order, hand the envelope, gotta give him orders. Get them orders done. What have we here? Muses the captain wearily as he accepts your envelope. Guildmaster Benedon instructed me to deliver... that's me. Guildmaster Benedon instructed me to deliver this into your charge as soon as we clear the blockade, you reply. It contains confidential details about our voyage to Duranor. I'm sure the matter can wait till morning, he says, slipping the envelope into the pocket of his gold-braided jacket. You'd best get some sleep. We could be in for some rough weather come sunrise. You insist that he read the content of the letter without delay, but he dismisses your request with a flick of his callous hand. It can wait. A few hours make no odd, he snaps, and he descends the stair before you can argue otherwise. Do we accompany the first mate into our cabin, or do we stay on the forecastle with the lookouts? Alright, 1 vote for watch, 1 for cabin. Okay, alright, keep walking. Look out, look out. Alright, let's look out. The lookouts are naturally curious about the only passenger aboard their ship, especially as he keeps company with Guildmaster Benedon, the most highly respected magician in Summerland. They question you keenly about your mission to Duranor, but when you insist that you're sworn to secrecy, they pursue the matter no further, with you at least. You learn that they hail from the Kirlundin Isle, a fiefdom famed for its brave and intrepid seafarers, whose ship have protected the coast of Summerland for more than 1,000 years. Shocks you deeply to learn that during your exile in the Daziarn, the Darklords have destroyed the Kirlundin fleet and laid to waste the once fertile island. "We'll soon free our isle from that vile cur Gnaag," growls one disgruntled sailor. The others echo his sentiment, but behind their bravado you sense their fear that they may never live to see their island free again. A brooding silence descends on the deck and you decide it will be wise to get some rest before dawn breaks. One of the shipmates volunteers to show you to your quarter, and you accept his help gratefully. The mate leads you to the bowels of the ship to your quarters near the stern. You are hoping for some degree of comfort, but the cabin turns out to be cramped and smelly, sandwiched between the galley and the bilge. Despite the lack of space and a stomach-churning smell redolent of dead fish, you manage to catch a few hours sleep before the grey dawn haze filters through the glass of the cabin's solitary portal. Desperate for fresh air, you make your way up to the forecastle where you find the captain, standing alone at the rail, reading the contents of the envelope. "'Tis a brave, risky adventure you've committed yourself to, comrade," he says without raising his eyes from the parchment clutched in his glove hand. "Yet these be a risky time. I can only guess at what lies beyond your journey to Deshketa, but of one thing you can be sure, I will do all in my power to see you safely there." Immediately he issues order to turn the ship about and steer a new course, north by northwest. The crew react to the sudden change of plan with great speculation, yet, despite the dangers they know they may have to face, none challenge their captain's decision or voice dissent. For 2 days and nights, the Intrepid forges a course through stormy water, running ahead of a chill wind that sweeps down from the glaciers of Kalt in the north. The sea becomes increasingly hazardous, with sleet, squalls, and lightning storms that break without warning. Yet the dawn of the 3rd day heralded a sudden change in the weather. Fog, a windless, soundless, grey, forbidding damp that cuts off high sight at an arm's length and leaves the crew soaked and shivering. Many stare enviously at your Calcut hide cloak as they attend to their early morning duties in quiet discomfort. "Curse this fog," grumbles Captain Bohr, staring helplessly at the clammy mist that holds his ship becalm. "Better a gale or a curry storm than this!" For countless hours the ship lies dormant, rocking gently on the cold, listless sea. Staring at the wall of fog, it is easy to imagine all manners of creatures lurking within. The eerie silence does little to allay the superstitious fears of the crew, and when suddenly the quiet is disturbed by a shoal of red-finned sea carp, more than one man cries out in shocked surprise. Do we have animal control? No, it's the only perk we do not have. From the crow's nest there comes a scream of abject horror. It echoes down the rigging, alerting all to a great scaly head that has broken through the surface 20 yards of the port bow. "Zagat!" The lookout's cry is taken up by a crew as, one by one, they glimpse the fearful sight of this legendary terror of the Calter Sea. "He sure preserve us!" gasped Captain Bors, as the beast opened his jaw, revealing the glitter of his jagged, razor-sharp fang. For a moment he is stunned by the terrifying sight, but quickly recovers and begins shouting urgent order to his awestruck crew. "Man the ballista! Break out the billhooks! All hands stand by to defend the ship!" Yep, there it is, the mild inconvenience we have to face. The Zagat observes the commotion in silence, its hooded eyes aglow with baleful green fire, and as calmly it considers the moment to attack. Then, with an awful suddenness, it rises from the sea, roaring and hissing angrily, and lunges forward. Captain Bors gives the order to fire, and a volley of ballista bolts sink into the monster's scaly throat. Undeterred, it presses its attack and falls upon the port beam with devastating effect. Tortured timbers bend and crack asunder. In seconds, the deck is torn apart by huge claws, each as long as a mammoth's tusk. Then the cavernous, fang-filled mouth sweeps down through the fog to snap shut upon the forecastle. Screams of pain and terror fill the air as it withdraws, soaring upward above the mast, jaws bulging with a dozen wriggling bodies. You take cover behind the ship's longboat with the captain and prepare to defend yourself as the Zagat returns for a second strike. Alright, so now what do we do? Do we use the bow? Do we use the summer sword? Or do we choose to unsheath a hand weapon? Alright, two vote for bow, 2 vote for sword. Use your word. I don't think it's gonna be here for diplomacy. We have 6 arrows right now. Like, yeah, if anything, let's bring it back to the relevant part of the sheet. Alright, let's twang him. You load and take aim at the beast's massive head as it swings low across the deck, smashing and crushing all before it. Its scaly eye looks as tough as steel plate, and you search desperately for a part that may be vulnerable to an arrow. Your heart pounds and your face is drenched in cold sweat as the Zagat, its jaws agape, swings back its head and lunges straight at you. Do we have animal control and divination? Nope, we don't have either of those things. The great sea beast roars, and a blast of putrid breath blows you away from the longboat, rolling you over and over like a leaf in a storm. Pain lances through your shoulder as you glance off the mainmast and crash against the ship's starboard rail. Lose 2 endurance points. Your bow is still gripped firmly in your hand, and as you struggle to your feet, you draw a fresh arrow and take aim once more at the monster's head. Do we shoot the eye, the mouth, or the ear? Yeah, hi, here, hi. Okay, alright, let's try out the ear. As you fight to stay on your feet, the beast bears down, tilting its head from side to side, revealing just a glimpse of your target. Guided by instinct alone, you raise your bow and fire. Alright, pick a number, add any missile bonuses. We have +5 because of everything that we got, so let's see what happens. Alright, 9 or more. Your arrow speeds toward its target and disappears. Seemingly uninjured, the Zagat draws back its head in readiness to strike, its awesome jaws poised to seal your doom. Death seems but moments away, when suddenly the creature freezes. It shudders, its green eyes rolling in their sockets, and then give vent to a scream so loud that you're forced to cover your ears for fear of being deafened. The scream grows louder until, with a mighty splash, the Zagat lurches sideways into the fog-red sea.
It looks like you just
Oh, thank you, NO805 for the sub. Thank you very much. Yeah, can you hear me now? I mean, that would be the exact bad one-liner I'd expect him to do. The Zagat sinks swiftly beneath the icy water. Its tail breaks the surface and slaps the swirling foam, and then it too is gone. Trailing the creature's lifeless body as it spirals 100 fathoms to its final resting place at the bottom of the Calter Sea. An eerie silence descends upon the shattered deck of the Intrepid, as the few who have survived the attack stare in horror at the swirling, blood-stained sea. Oh, yeah, should have said, "Can you hear me, psych?" No. Then began the cries of the injured, and those who were still able to stand began the grim task of recovering bodies and staunching wounds. You help with the search and find Captain Bors lying near the ship's longboat. He is unconscious and badly injured. Both his legs have been broken at the thigh by one swipe of the monster's tail. You attempt to revive him with your basic Kai healing skills, but he's in deep shock and does not respond. Alright, we have curing. Shock, as a result of his severe leg injuries, have reduced the captain's blood pressure to a dangerously low level. Your mastery of the discipline of curing enables you to increase his blood pressure gently to ensure that his brain is not starved of its vital supply of oxygen. Once he's stable, the first mate, whose name is Daziarn, helps you splint the captain's leg and construct a makeshift stretcher on which to carry him to his cabin. Slowly he regains consciousness, and although he's in great pain, he insists on speaking. "Daziarn," he says through gritted teeth, "the ship's under your command now. You must do all you can to see that our passenger reaches his destination." Dutifully, the first mate promises to obey the captain's order. "Open the chest," the captain says, motioning with his eyes to a large casket resting at the foot of his bunk. You oblige and discover that it contains a vest made of finely crafted Bronin chainmail and a pair of engraved silver bracers designed to protect the forearms during combat. "Take them, my friend," he says. "They may be of some help to you on your journey." Alright, Bronin Vest had 3 points to your combat skill and 1 to your endurance. It may be worn with a padded leather waistcoat, but not with a chainmail waistcoat. The silver bracers had 2 points to your combat skill and 1 to your endurance. Alright, so now what exactly do we have? Okay, so we cannot wear the Bronin vest with the chainmail waistcoat, so yeah, fuck it. Alright, goodbye. With that said, we're getting something good out of the deal. So yeah, 3 combat skill and 1 endurance. Now 41, and our endurance now sinks to 31. But now, silver bracers at 2 points to your combat skill and 1 to your endurance. Okay, with that said, we need to remove something. Okay, how about the Daziarn map? I don't think we're ever gonna need this. Okay, silver braces, 2 combat skill and 1 endurance. Alright, and another endurance point. Okay, we lost 2 endurance points, but we gained 5 combat skill in return. And hey, we don't need endurance points if, you know, we don't get hit. Before you can thank the captain for his generosity, he lapses into a merciful unconsciousness that spare him the pain of his injuries. Having done what you can to make him comfortable, you return to the deck to survey the damage. Over half the crew is being killed or injured in the attack, and the ship herself is badly mauled. The mainmast is down, the sails hang in tatters, and there's a gaping hole that stretches along the port beam to within a few feet of the waterline. "We can patch up the canvas and work the ship on a skeleton crew," says Daziarn, peering over the splintered rail. "But if we catch a storm this far out to sea, we're all done for." For the following 2 days and night, the Intrepid remains a prisoner of the windless fog. Daziarn and his crewmen work tirelessly to repair the ship, and come the morning of the 3rd day, when a gentle breeze arises with the dawn, the mainmast is secure and the sails are patched and ready to carry the ship onward. With the port side still hold and storms a constant threat in the open reaches of the Calter Sea, it has been decided that the safest course to steer is toward the coast. Then, should a sudden squall threaten or a gale arise, the ship could run to shelter in one of the hundreds of coves that indent the rugged shore east of Point Vashno. However, to sail along this stretch of coastline is to risk hazard that could prove as dangerous as any storm. Darklands ironclads, unstable in high seas, favor the coast when venturing to and from their base at Helgedad, and the cliff and shores themselves are peppered with watchtowers and Gnaag encampments. By early afternoon, the fog is cleared and the Intrepid is making good headway through the cold, sparkling waves. League after glittering league fall away to the stern until, an hour or two before sunset, the lookout catches sight of the coast. "Land ahoy!" he calls. "Land afore the bow!" The crew are cheered by the news, feeling safer now that they are within sight of land, but their spirits are soon dampened when the lookout calls out again, this time an alarm. "Enemy off the starboard bow!" Also, what's our quest? We're headed toward the capital of the Darklords, Helgedad, in order to kill Gnaag as well and destroy the device that empowers the Darklords. Almost invisible against the horizon of black cliff and cloudy gray skies are two enemy warships, anchored a few hundred yards offshore. At first they look deserted, then the sudden clang of alarm bell and the appearance of huge clouds of yellow smoke from their funnels indicate they are manned, and they intend to give chase. "Our only chance is to outrun them," says Daziarn, his eyes narrowing as he surveys the ironclad hauling their anchors and turning about. At his command, the crew spring into action, breaking their back to cox every last knot of speed from their battered ship. But the winds are against them and the enemy, not reliant on sails for their propulsion, are soon closing the gap. "Prepare to rebel border!" shouts Daziarn as an ironclad draws alongside. Hastily, they abandon their attempt to outrun the enemy and draw weapons in readiness to receive a unit of leather-clad Dracarim Marines who are poised to spring aboard the very moment the two vessels collide. Then, with a resounding crash, the ironclad smashes into the side of the Intrepid, and the enemy comes scrambling over the rail, screaming and howling like a pack of demons. One of their numbers singles you out. He strides forward, his black blade swinging viciously as he attempts to cleave your skull in two. Owing to the speed of his attack, you're unable to use a bow. Oh, you don't know what you're getting yourself into, mister. Ho, ho, ho. It's like we don't even need to use Mind Blast or anything to know that we are fucking dominating him in every way, shape, or form. Alright. 8. What is 8 good for? It's imminent instant doom. Yep, there we go. Combat lasted a whole round. Take this in your pipe and eat it in your ass. You leap over the body of your slain enemy and rush to help Daziarn, who's being driven back across the deck by 3 snarling Dracarim. "For Summerlawn!" you cry as you launch your attack, felling 2 of his adversaries with a single sweeping blow. Deftly you put pace to the third, and together you advance toward the stern where the enemy are attempting to capture the helm. Already several of the crew lie bleeding on the deck, and although they fight bravely, they are no match for the vicious Dracarim Marine. At the foot of the makeshift stair that ascend to the stern deck, you are confronted by the leader of the enemy's assault team. "Okagazagor!" he growls, his evil eye glinting through the slits in his studded leather battle mask. "Shiz okay, Okag, Nojgat, Hashgakok, okay, Okagadaz!" With that, he lifts his reddened axe and strides forward to meet your advance. Alright, 26 combat skill, 30 endurance. Again, you don't know what you're getting yourself into, poor fool. Yeah, bless you. Yeah, all of these interjections sound like sneezing. Okay, 5. What is 5 good for? Okay, 14 damage to the enemy, 1 damage to us. 1, 9 damage to the enemy, and 3 damage to us. Three, okay, alright. So, 11 damage to the enemy, 2 damage to us. We're down to 26 HP after this fight. Damn Drakrim Sergeant. The sergeant crashes lifelessly to the deck, and for a few moments, the troop that were fighting by his side stare down at his body in shocked disbelief. For 6 years, he had led them to glory, his battle skills and cunning ensuring their survival. And now he lies dead, killed by some lending. Taking advantage of their stunned state, you cleave a path up the staircase and force your way toward the helm. You are within 10 feet of the ship's wheel when Davin screams a warning. Archer above you! You glance up into the rigging and a cold spike of fear stabs your heart when you glimpse the gloating face of a Drakrim Marine. With one hand he holds a bow and with the other he draws back an arrow to his shin. He mounts a curse and with the other he mounts a curse and lets fly the deadly shaft. He's damn right. Alright, we have Hunt Mastery, so we had 2. We've completed the Lore Circle of the Spirit, so we had 3 as well. Plus 5. Okay, 1 plus 5, 6.
It looks like you've been subscribed for.
Thank you, Kurt Phillips, for the sub. Thank you very much. You raise your arm and lash out at the speeding shaft, hoping to turn it aside on the edge of your weapon, but it ricochets toward you, gouging a furrow of skin and hair from your scalp. You lose 3 endurance points. The archer fires again, but this time you manage to twist aside and the arrow thuds harmlessly into the deck. He curses and bares teeth as he reaches for yet another arrow, but before he can fire again, his aim is spoiled by 2 of his comrades, who rush forward to hack at you with axe and sword. Davin protects your back, holding off the Marines who are attempting to climb the stairs. You evade the first blows of your enemies, sidestepping a lunge and ducking wild swipe, and then strike back with deadly speed and unerring accuracy. Both scream and fall simultaneously, dying with a look of surprise fixed on their cruel faces. With a swift and graceful moment, you snatch a dagger from the belt of one of your dead foes, spin it on your heel, and fling it at the archer above before he has a chance to fire another arrow. It sinks hilt deep into his chest, sending him tumbling backwards into the black water of the Kalter Sea. With the stern deck now cleared of the enemy, you grab the helm and attempt to steer the ship away from the ironclad. The second enemy vessel is closing fast, and you fear that the Intrepid will be smashed to driftwood if caught between the two. Alright, pick a number from the random number table and add 1 for every Magnakai discipline we possess above the 3 skills. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, add 6. 5 plus 6 equal 11. Oh, that's right. Also, I forgot to remove an arrow after the encounter with the Zagat. The Intrepid responds to the wheel, and as the wind fills out her sail, she begins to pull away from the first ironclad. Your hopes rise, but they are soon dashed when a jolt runs through the deck, and she rolls back toward the enemy vessel. Then you see why you cannot escape. Davin! Quick! Have your men cut the grappling lines! You shout. Immediately he urges his men to carry out your command. Anxiously you watch as the second ironclad bears down on the stern with unnerving speed. The lines are soon severed and you feel the ship swing about. Yet the enemy craft is almost upon you, its deck crammed with more troops, poised to leap aboard. Suddenly hits the rear quarter and you're knocked down by the shock. The screech of tortured metal and the crack of splintering wood fill the air. Yet the deck soon rights itself and you're able to regain control of the helm. Despite the shock of impact and the fearful noise, the enemy craft have only glanced above, its steel tip ram missing the rudder by just a few feet. It scrapes alongside before veering away amid a cloud of foul yellow smoke. The crew cheer and the Darklands Marine falter as they watch their vessel slipping away to the stern. The battle on board turns in your favor, and as Davin and his men press their advantage, you feel sure that the Intrepid will make a successful escape along the coast. Within the space of a few minutes, your confidence is shattered anew by an unexpected attack. From a tube-like contraption mounted behind the funnel of the ironclad, there issues a flash and a puff of smoke. Moment later, a fiery ball comes hurtling toward the Intrepid, screeching louder than a flock of angry cran. It strikes amidship, causing an explosion that sends 1,000 flaming shards hissing in every direction. In seconds, the sail, mast, and rigging are set ablaze, showering Darklands and crew alike with red-hot smoking cinder. Instinctively, you cover your head as part of the boom sail lands close by. It brings with it a tangle of burning canvas that smothers you from head to foot. Alright, we have Nexus with the rank of Principal and of higher. It's time to be a firefighter with our mind. Using your Magnakai skill, you cause the flames to flicker and die before you sustain any serious burns. Your advanced discipline also protects you from the smoke and fumes given up by the smoldering canvas and enables you to crawl from under the fallen sails uninjured. The explosion has caused havoc aboard the Intrepid. Men run howling across the deck, their clothes and hair ablaze as swiftly the fire spreads throughout the ship. "Save yourself!" cries Daziarn. "Abandon ship!" You run to the deck rail, and as you look along the beam, you see scores of men, Darklands and some Lending alike, hurling themselves into the cold, dark water of the Calter Sea rather than perish amid the roaring holocaust of flame. Alright, do we have Hunt Mastery, Patmanship, or Divination? We have all of these. Take that up your pipe. Your senses tingle. Someone is about to attack you from behind. Without turning to see who is approaching, you twist aside, and your will-be attacker crashes chest first against the rail. He's a Darklands Marine armed with a stiletto dagger, whose needle-thin blade grows wetly crimson in the flickering light of the fire. Maddened by the pain of the fearful burns he has sustained on his face and hand, he screams a curse and leaps at you wildly, determined to drive his dagger into your chest. Alright, owing to the frenzy of his attack, he's immune to Mind Blast, but not Psy Surge. Oh no, what are we gonna do with his 19 combat skill? We only have a combat skill of plus 24. It's like, no, walk away while you can. It's like, you literally have no chance. It's like, I'm so happy with this beginning of the book. Now we are badass as fuck. Alright, he's instantly killed. Game over. Alright, we win the combat. You pull away from your enemy as he screams and tumbles over the ship's rail. Then, as if in answer to his cry, a horn shrieks loudly. It is the Ironclad. It has at last caught up and is steaming alongside the blazing Intrepid. Clouds of acrid yellow smoke now merge with the oily black plumes pouring from the inferno that was once the ship's soul, adding to the chaos and confusion. You pull yourself onto the rail and wait for the smoke to thin before you make your leap. Suddenly the ship lurches violently and you slip and fall, feet first into the swirling smog. Alright, pick a number from the random number table. I mean, of course they're polluting the ocean. The Darklords are fucking assholes. Alright, we got 1. You are expecting the sudden chill of cold water, so it comes as a great shock when you slam down upon the moving steel deck of the Darkland ironclad. Your legs buckle and your knees hit your chest, forcing the air from your lung and leaving you gasping like a fish out of water. Lose 3 endurance points. You have barely recovered when a Dracarim sailor, armed with a billhook, looms out of the smoke and lunges at your head. Unless you have Hunt Mastery, reduce your combat skill by 4 for the first 2 rounds. We have Hunt Mastery, and even then, we still will have a combat ratio of plus 18. So, okay, 24 endurance. It's like they almost match us in the endurance, but boy, they are no match for us. You see, if we started with this book, we actually could do it, as opposed to the other book. Okay, 12 damage to the enemy, 2 damage to us. Okay, 4, we lose 2 more endurance points, and the enemy is defeated. Yeah, it's like, for the most part, this book is a lot easier than the previous one. The force of your killing blow sends the Drakkar reeling backwards across the deck. He collides with another sailor who was coming to his aid and knocks him headlong into the sea. You brace yourself in case there's another waiting to rush at you, but the smoke from the vessel's funnel is so thick, and the other Dracarim are so preoccupied with hooking their marines out of the water that they fail to notice you creeping toward the wheelhouse near the middle of the deck. A steel door swings open at your approach, and 3 hefty Dracarim confront you on the threshold. You parry one blade, take the second in the chest, and see the third spin sideways, trailing scarlet spray from the fatal wound you have dealt him. A quick thrust to the heart puts paid to the remaining sailor. He screams and falls through the doorway, tumbling down a high-end staircase that descends into noise-filled darkness. Alright, we have divination. Your Kai sense informs you that the stairs descend to the control cabin and crew quarters, then on the cargo section, which houses huge tank filled with sulfur, used as fuel for the engine of this strange craft. The sudden appearance of the sailor's body have started a commotion, and the sound of heavy boots grating on metal warns you that more Dracarim are ascending the stairs to investigate what or who caused their comrades' death. To attempt to descend the stairs could prove fatal, so hurriedly you slam shut the door and look for another place to hide. Now, if you die, you have to restart at book 1. That's how it works, right? Stealthily, you move away from the door, raising the hood of your cape to hide your face. Beyond the wheelhouse, you see a large tube of steel mounted horizontally on a circular platform. It is attended by 3 Dracarim, who are busily loading a heavy pear-shaped projectile into a chamber at the rear of the tube. A large wooden crate filled with several more projectiles lie open at their feet. Their captain is rank denoted by a silver braid that decorates the sleeve of his battle jacket, is pointing to the sinking Intrepid and shouting excitedly, Gazmazar, Okeruza, Shadaginagag! Alright, we have invisibility and Patmanship. Yeah, invisibility is the brand new perk that we ended up getting. You understand enough of the Gnaag language to know that the enemy captain is preparing to hasten the Intrepid to the bottom of the sea. The metallic tube is the mean by which the ironclads launch their fire missiles, one of which you have already encountered when running the blockade out of Toran. This one is loaded and is being aimed directly at the waterline of the Intrepid. At first, it strikes you as a wasteful attack. The Intrepid is sinking so fast that to fire upon it now seems to serve no practical purpose. Then you realize what the enemy commander is planning, and the thought of it makes your blood boil. Davan and a remnant of his crew are clinging in desperation to the flotsam that surrounds their dying ship. Many are wounded and their pitiful cries for help can clearly be heard aboard the Drakrim ironclad. The enemy captain watches them through narrowed eye, an evil sneer spreading slowly across his brutal face as he reaches for the mechanism that will launch a fire missile into their midst. Alright, we have a bow and wish to fire at the captain to prevent him from murdering our countrymen. Yep, alright, let's shoot him. The captain arches his back and screams in agony as your arrow drives deep into his spine. Immediately, 2 Drakrim gunners rush forward to help him, but as soon as they realize that he's dead, they spin around to confront you. Alright, if you have at least 2 arrows and wish to silence these Drakrim, or do we use our hand weapon? Alright, do we use 2 arrows to shoot them, or do we fight them hand to hand? Alright, let's shoot while the shooting is good, I guess. Keep firing, assholes! Alright, 2. Your first arrow pierces a heart, but your second is deflected by a steel breastplate. Before you have a chance to fire again, the surviving gunner is upon you, his short sword unsheathed and ready to stab at your chest. Alright, unless you possess the Magnakai discipline of Hunt Mastery, you must fight the first 2 rounds unarmed. Nope, that doesn't apply to us. Alright, 25 endurance against 30. It's a time fight, oh no. Wait, 25 or 24? I didn't even look properly, okay. Okay, 2. 10 damage to the enemy and 2 damage to us. So yeah, that's right. We need to note how many rounds this is taking. 5, 14 damage and 1 damage to us. Seven, 18 damage to the enemy. Okay, safe to say he's dead. So we won in 3 rounds. Okay, if you win and the fight lasts 3 rounds or less. The deck is shrouded in smoke, but the sound of heavy boots pounding steel plate warn you that a group of Drakrim Marines are approaching, drawn by their comrades' dying screams. Acting on instinct, you grab the rear of the cannon and revolve it on its mounting until it points directly along the deck. A dozen angry Marines emerge from the smoke and their faces freeze in terror when they find themselves staring the muzzle of their own formidable weapon. "Death to the Darklords!" you cry, and pulling the firing lever. There is a loud bang and a wave of heat rolls over you as the cannon spits its deadly missile at the advancing Drakrim. It bores through their ranks and slams into the wheelhouse with shuddering force. Jets of yellow flame roar from a jagged hole, illuminating the grim remain of what a moment before they were enemy Marines. Then the deck jumps up and slaps the sole of your feet. The missile has penetrated the ironclad's magazine, and in an instant the vessel is blown apart. The last thing you remember before darkness obliterates your senses is a nice searing flash of white and scarlet fire. It was a great idea. What are you talking about? Slowly, as though awakening from a dream, you return to consciousness. Through half-open eyes, you stare at the darkening sky and feel the cold wave of the Kalter Sea lapping at your feet. Every inch of your body aches viciously. It is as if your flesh were one vast bruise. But at once you know that your body is intact and that, miraculously, you have escaped serious injury. You are lying in a cup-shaped piece of wreckage that was once part of the ironclad's bow. On the horizon, there is now only one ship. The ironclad that first attacked the Intrepid. It is silhouetted against the wall of oily flame that marks the place where its sister craft exploded. The tide has carried you away from the carnage, and turning your head stiffly, you see that the shores lie less than 100 yards away. Alright, we have Hunt Mastery in the rank of Principalin. Alright. Less than a mile along the rock shore, you catch sight of something moving in the shadows. You use your advanced Sky skill to magnify your vision and are able to see a patrol of Gyaks, searching the water edge for survivors of the battle. Some they help, carrying them on stretchers to their encampment perched high on an overhanging cliff. Others, presumably crew from the Intrepid, they stab repeatedly with their spears and leave for the sharks to claim. Forewarned by your skills, you begin to paddle away from the patrol, keen to avoid their chilling welcome. Night has fallen swiftly, but there's a full moon by which to see. It pierces the darkness and bathes the landscape in its ghostly Haitian light. The tide bears you swiftly toward a shingle beach that is littered with huge sea-smoothed boulders. The crashing surf and the screech of predatory seabirds echo all along this barren coastline. It is an unwelcoming sound, cold and hostile, a fitting reflection of the land itself. 10 yards from the stony beach, you slip into the thigh-deep foam and wade ashore. Although you can see no sign of enemy patrols, you keep your head low as you scurry up the beach toward the base of a sheer cliff wall. By chance, you happen upon a narrow path that clings precariously to the side of the cliff face as it zigzags its way to the top. The climb is long and arduous, and by the time you reach the summit, the weather has taken a turn for the worse. An icy, rain-laden wind whips inland from the sea. Its chilling bite is accompanied by sheet lightning that illuminates the landscape before you. The blue-white flashes reveal a vast, dead world of pitted spurs and crag, where every tree is petrified and every rock looks like a dead man's skull. You pull your cape close about your shoulders and set off toward a ridge that is peppered with dark hollows, hoping that one of them will offer some shelter from the coming storm. Upon reaching the ridge, you discover that most of the hollows are merely patches of dark earth sandwiched between the honeycomb rock. The rain has become torrential, and you're beginning to abandon all hope of finding dry shelter, when suddenly your trekking instinct alerts you to a cave-like opening at the far end of the ridge. You investigate and discover that it is indeed the entrance to a cave, one that is both wind and watertight, and to your relief, quite empty. You are now very hungry and you must now eat a meal or lose 3 endurance points. That's okay, we have Hunt Mastery. This is taking care of it all. Do we have animal control and divination? Nope. Okay, geez. It's almost as if we should have picked animal control for this book. Holy shit. The fatigue of your ordeal is dulling your senses and making it increasingly difficult to keep your eyes open. So, using your backpack for a pillow, you settle down and slip readily into a deep sleep. However, it seems as though you've only just closed your eyes when a strange snickering sound steers you to wakefulness. Crouching at the entrance to the cave and silhouetted by the flashes of storm lightning is a hulking creature with yellow cat-like eyes. It emits an angry growl and leaps at you, at your prone body, hoping to crush you beneath its huge bulk, but your reflexes thwart its aim. You roll aside and jump to your feet as it hits the ground, which shudders beneath the vast stone weight. Quickly the creature recovers and leaps once more, its hairy, lipless mouth opening in anticipation. Alright, owing to the speed of its attack, you are unable to make use of a bow. This creature is particularly susceptible to psychic attack. Double all bonuses you will normally receive if using Mind Blast or Psy Surge. We don't even need to use it to have plus 11, so again, it's unfortunately a waste of our powers. Okay, first of all, probably should. Okay, 34 versus 31. We're almost as strong as a giant mutant cat. Hey, the enemy's instantly killed. Alright, good job everyone. I am so glad we signed up on this adventure. Yeah, it's just like this book is way easier than the other book, and finally they give you all of this gear that shoots your combat skill in the stratosphere, so yeah. The creature trashes the last of its death throes and then falls silent, its great bulk all but filling the entrance to the cave. The stench of spilled blood and the greasy, dirt-encrusted hair that covers its torso makes your stomach churn. Yet the Egorg's body is serving a useful purpose. Not only it is keeping the icy cold wind and rain at bay, but any other creature wanting to attack you will have great difficulty entering the cave. Confident that you are unlikely to be disturbed again, you settle down to a much-needed sleep. And we're back to full HP. Dawn arrives, its hazy light barely brightening the bank of grey cloud that swirl above this bleak and desolate land. The rain has ceased, but the cold winds still blow strongly, bringing patches of frost that whiten the stony soil. You check your equipment and take stock of your provision before setting off toward a distant line of hill. You are aware that the dawn light has increased the chances of you being found by a Gnaag patrol should you stay too long in any one place, especially so near to the shore. It is nearly noon when you finally reach the top of the ridge and stare down at the valley that lies beyond. It is a barren landscape of endless pits and crag, jagged boulders and scree. A rough, foot-worn track follows a stream that winds its way back to its source, deep among a towering range of mountains that dominate the horizon. Using your map and your kite tracking and hunting skills, you conclude that the mountains are the northwestern tip of the Crag range. Beyond them must lie the Gulf of Helgedad and the Darklord naval base of Helgedad. A feeling of dread overwhelms you as you realize that more than 300 miles of hostile terrain lie between you and Gnaag, the stronghold where you are to rendezvous with the slave master. Silently, you stare at the forbidding mountain and rack your brains for a solution to your predicament. At length, you formulate a new plan of action. Now, if you have animal control, essentially what happens is you're being told, hey, you're into the lair of a big creature. It's not here now, but it's gonna be back later. Do you want to stay here and get ready to fight, or do you want to fuck off and look for another shelter? The track and the stream wind their way toward a narrow gap in the Crag range. Fixedly, you stare at this gap. The longer you gaze, the more certain you are that it is a mountain pass, allowing the path to continue through to Helgedad. You decide to press on and traverse the pass. Hopefully, the track will lead on the naval base where you can attempt to steal or stow away on some mean of transport that will carry you to Gnaag. The naval base must receive equipment from a Darklands city fortress, and it is likely that Gnaag is one such source of supply. It is nearly dusk when the stony path reaches the narrow boulder-strewn approach to the pass. It has been a long and tiring trek, yet in spite of your fatigue, your senses warn you in good time of the danger that lies ahead. The pass is blocked by a wall and a stone watchtower, both guarded by Gnaag soldiers. Carefully, you leave the path and creep along the bank of the stream, remaining hidden from view as slowly you edge your way nearer to the Gnaag outpost. An iron-banded gate in the center of the wall allows traffic to use the pass, but it is closed and guarded by sentries. As dusk turns to darkness, you continue to observe every detail of the outpost and the surrounding mountains in the hope of finding a way through. Alright, so do we attempt to scale the wall, or do we avoid the outpost and search for an alternative route across the mountains? Yeah, we have a rope. Oh my god, our belt pouch is now so big that we can no longer see our inventory. Oh my. Okay, so now 1, 2, so far, skate, alright. Alright, let's go Batman. After spending 2 hours scrutinizing every move the Gnaag guards make, you are sure that the two patrolling the wall follow the same routine with little variation. Once every 2 minutes exactly, their beat brings them both to a point near the watchtower, the middle of the wall, where they turn about before starting another circuit of patrol. You wait until one of the sentries reaches the end of the battlement at a point where it abuts the sheer mountain wall, and when he turns to march back to the center, you make your move. Crouching low, you scurry to the foot of the wall and begin to climb, counting every passing second as you struggle to find handholds in the darkness. Alright, pick a number from the random number table. If we have invisibility, add 2. If we have hunt mastery with the Chi rank of primate, add 3. Okay, alright, plus 5. Whoops, nope. That's not where the button is. Okay, 2 plus 5, it's a 7. Okay, we're already full max. Your skill and dexterity makes scaling the wall an easy task. You reach the parapet, climb over, and then slip stealthily down the other side without being seen by either the guards in the watchtower or the two on the wall. Then, hiding behind the rugs and crags that line the roadway, you escape through the pass undetected. Guided by starlight, you trek westward through the pass until the need for food and rest forces you to stop. A brief search uncovers a shallow fissure in the mountain wall which offers a safe refuge for the night, and there you decide to grab a few hours sleep before continuing to Helgedad. You must now eat a meal or lose 3 endurance points. Okay, hunt mastery. Shortly after dawn, a howling wind awakens you from your dreamless slumber. It sweeps along the pass from the west, carrying with it the briny smell of the sea. Har! Resolutely, you continue your trek, following the roadway through the pass until, at midday, you emerge from the mountain at a point that commands a clear view over the land beyond. There you stop and stare at an expanse of rocky terrain so fragmented that it might have been smashed by a giant hammer. It slopes down to the shore of a wide inlet, the Gulf of Helgedad, where a line of Darkland ironclad are steaming northwards on their way to join the blockade. From where you are, they appear no larger than tiny black specks dotting the steel gray sea, but the clouds of yellow smoke that pour from their funnels clearly identify them as enemy ships. The trek continues, snaking southwards across its barren wasteland on its way to Helgedad. For 3 hours, you tread its uneven surface until you arrive at what appears to be the ruin of an ancient tower. Alright, we have divination and the rank of Mentoro. As you stare at the ruin, a strange feeling of unease engulfs your body. At the same time, a nervous energy makes your skin tingle and fills your mind with disturbing images. Your highly developed mind skills are sensitive to the psychic residues of events that took place here 2,000 years ago. This land once belonged to a colony of creatures called the Naboro, a sentient race of wingmen who evolved during the golden age of the Chianti. The city of Naboran, the core of their civilization, was located there on what was once a rich and fertile coastal plain. The demise of the Chianti heralded the rise of the Darklords in northern Magnamund and the beginning of the war of desecration in which the Naboro and many other races were exterminated. This ruined tower is all that remains of the wondrous city of Naboran, where in the year MS 3250, the entire Naboro race were trapped and slaughtered by the Darklords of Helgedad. After searching the ruin and finding nothing of practical use, you continue your lonely trek along the Helgedad trail. Yeah, I think that's something we learn later. Apparently MS stands for Moonstone. It's like it's a very important artifact that we're probably never gonna learn about, unfortunately, because it's really deep on into the collection of books. For the most part, it runs parallel to the coast and is exposed to strong gusts of icy air that whip across the Gulf. You find yourself having to lean into the sleet-tinged wind in order to remain upright. It is a tiring ordeal, and as dusk begins to to darken the sky, you welcome the chance to stop and rest. You have just located a windproof niche in the lee of a rocky crag and are about to settle down and rest when you notice something moving toward you along the trail. Alright, we have Hunt Mastery with the rank of Principal in. Using your telescopic vision, you focus on the approaching shape, and as it draws nearer, you are able to discern exactly what it is. You see a wagon laden with barrel and boxes and drawn by 6 ox-like creatures. 2 Gnaags are sitting on top of the wagon, the driver who is lashing the team with a whip, and a guard who appears to be fast asleep. Behind the wagon are 4 horsemen, Darklands escorts, judging by their size and the cut of their black leather armor. Their route will take them close to where you are sheltering. Mindful of the Gnaag ability to see in the dark, you decide to stay in hiding and wait for them to pass. You squeeze into a space between the rock and listen as the grind of the wagon's wheel on the rough stone trails as it draws steadily nearer. Then a Darkrim voice cries out, Koga! Okim das nazdul zesa! The sound stops abruptly. You strain your ears for an indication of what the enemy are doing, but all you can hear are muffled voices and the jingle of brittle and bits. Then you hear the Darkrim escorts leave the trail and dismount close to where you're hiding. Your pulse quickens as you realize they are preparing to strike camp here overnight. Fortunately, because they are deep inside their own territory, the Darkrim do not bother to inspect their surrounding and your presence goes undetected. You listen intently to their conversation but discover little useful information, except that they are from Helgedad and are on their way to the outpost at the mouth of the Durncrag Pass. After eating, they settle down to a session of gambling. They have only been playing for a few minutes when one of the Darkrim is accused of cheating. A violent argument breaks out and bloodshed is averted only when their commander, a sergeant, steps in to break it up. He finds a fistful of cards wedged up the accused Drakar's sleeve. Angrily he denounces the cheat and orders him to return to Helgedad at first light. The game is brought to a close, and as the disgruntled Darkrim get ready to sleep, a bold plan springs into your mind that could make your journey through the Darklands and your entry into Helgedad much easier. Patiently, you wait until the Darkrim and Gnaag are snoring soundly, and then you leave your hiding place and slip away undetected. Your plan is to ambush the Drakar who was caught cheating at dawn when he rides back to Helgedad alone. By discarding your cape and tunic in favor of his battle armor, it should be far easier to enter the naval base unnoticed, especially on horseback and with your face obscured by one of the grotesque battle masks that all Darkrim wear. 3 miles along the trail, you find the ideal place to launch your ambush, where the stony track passes between a cluster of huge rock. There you lie in wait for the dawn and with it the arrival of your victim. While you wait, you must eat a meal or lose 3 endurance point on mastery. Shortly after dawn is bright on the eastern horizon, the Darkrim warrior appears, riding his steed unhurriedly along the path the trail to Helgedad. As he approaches, you get ready to launch your ambush. Alright, do we use the bow or we do not wish to use it? It's like we either use the bow or we have to jump on the Drakar as soon as he rides between range. Okay, looks like it's bow time. Like the dog says, bow bow. Okay, silently you draw an arrow to your lips and take aim at the Drakar's throat, at the point where a thin strip of unprotected skin is visible between the chin piece of his battle mask and the top of his hardened leather breastplate. A wound there should prove fatal and yet leave untarnished the armor that you intend to wear in order to gain entry to Helgedad. Alright, we already will assuredly beat the skill check because we have +5, but just for a laugh. Okay, 5 + 5. Your arrow strikes its target with chilling accuracy. The Drakar throws his arm in the air and tumbles out of the saddle, killed instantly by your deadly shaft. You're damn right. You drag the dead Drakkar behind the rock and divest the body of his armor. Although not a perfect fit, the leather battle jacket, legging, and battle mask make you look convincingly like a Drakrim warrior. Apart from the armor, which you need not to record on your action chart, you discover a number of items that may be of use. Sword, dagger, bow, quiver, 4 arrows, and 13 kika. And 30 kikas. I mean, our belt pouch is already filled up, but let's take all the arrows. Oh, voice the Drakkar like DSP, oh my god. I mean, we already have 200 kikas, so I'd say we're okay on dark money. The dead warrior's horse is standing nearby, pawing the ground nervously. Using your innate Kai skill of animal kinship, you succeed in claiming him and making him obey your command. Slowly approaches and allow you to climb onto the saddle. Once you are sure that you have control, you flick your heels and head off at a canter along the trail to Helgedad. It is nearing the hour of sunset when you set eyes on the naval base of Helgedad. It nestles in the curve of a cliff, a natural harbor protected from the pounding waters of the Gnaag by a long promontory of rock. This wall-like barrier serves as a quay for more than 50 ironclad warships, the evil armada that is slowly strangling their country. Along the quay, huddled in the shadow of the surrounding cliff, are a host of grim grey buildings, newly constructed from iron and stone. Their greasy windows flare with the orange light of fire that roar within, warming the Drakrim sailors and marine who crew the Darklands fleet. Before entering the base, the trail joins a highway that approaches Helgedad from the south. You stop to consult your map and discover that this road leads to the city fortresses of Gnaag and Gnaag. You consider avoiding the naval base and riding to Gnaag, but soon dismiss the idea. The journey will take you across the now Zagat, one of the most desolate wastelands in all of Magnamund. Even if you could survive the heat, the dust, and the hellish creatures that dominate that great desert, your mount will be sure to perish for lack of food and water. If you only possess the Kai discipline of hunting and hunt mastery, you may no longer hunt for food as you venture deeper into the Darkland. A wall of stone surmounted by an unbroken coil of razor-sharp wire encircles the naval base. There's only one way through this perimeter wall, a gate that is guarded by a squad of Death Knights, the elite of the Drakrim. Boldly you ride toward the gate, hoping to pass through unchallenged. But as you approach, the Death Knights take up their spear and send shoulder to shoulder across the growth. Demand their sergeant gruffly. Okay, so now what do? We can either use Psi Surge with the rank of Principal N, or Invisibility with the rank of Sion Kai. If you remember well, the Sion Kai rank of Invisibility allows us to change appearance all at once. So alright, let's take a new face. The Death Knight Sergeant strides forward and repeats his command. When you fail to answer, he reaches up, grabs the front of your leather battle jacket, and he pulls you to within inches of his sneering face. He growls and tilts your mask back with the palm of his gloved hand. Using your advanced Kai skill, you cause your face to take on the coarse features of a Drakrim warrior. The sergeant nods, a look of recognition softening his cruel eyes, and then releases his grip on your jacket. Agnatuk, he says, turning to face his guard. Doklugshad. They stand aside and quickly ride through the gate. A shadowy street lies beyond, at the end of which is a sign that indicates the way to the two main areas of the base, the ironclad harbor and the supply depot. Alright, do we go to the harbor or the supply depot? Okay, supply, could be good in supply. Yeah, candy supply. Okay, alright, depot it is. You follow a cobblestone alleyway and soon arrive at a large square, flanked to the north, south, and west by warehouses, yet dominated by a smaller building on the east side. Its granite walls are festooned with black flags, bearing the emblem of a silver ship and fiery sword, and atop its flat roof there sits a huge winged creature with mottled grey skin, an imperial sland beast. You watch with grim fascination as the beast feeds from a pile of horse carcasses stacked beside its perch. Then a daring thought comes to mind. If you could reach the roof of the building and steal this land beast, it would be possible to reach Gnaag by air in a matter of hours, rather than the days it will take by land or sea. After riding once around the building to assess its defenses, you leave your horse tethered to a rail near a side entrance and approach the only door that appears to be unguarded. It is locked, but the crude bolt that secures it proved no match for your basic Kai skill of mind over matter. The bolt clicks back, the door swings open, and you enter the building unseen. Beyond the door lies a corridor that leads to a narrow hall of stone. Its ceiling, flat and undomed, is supported by thick columns that march in rows down the sides of the wall. Between the columns are plain steel doors, the largest one guarded by dead knights. From the safety of the shadows, you watch as this great door swings open and a man, swathed in a voluminous scarlet robe, emerges into the corridor. He speaks at length with the two guards, who depart in haste when he has finished, as if running an important errand. Beyond the great door, you can see a flight of stairs ascending into darkness. The man in red watches the dead knight leave and then turn and ascend the stairs hurriedly, leaving the great steel door ajar. Hoping that the staircase leads to the roof, you cross the corridor and follow the robed man, taking care not to be seen as you stalk silently in its wake. Your Kai skills keep you hidden from view and enable you to gain entry to the chamber that occupies the entire top floor of this building. There, you take cover behind one of the many statues that encircle the floor and witness a scene that chills you to the core. On a throne of hewn granite, ringed by 7 pillars of fire, sits a being whose form radiates pure evil. A loose grey robe shrouds his skeletal frame. It is drawn closely about a stringy throat that swells and shrinks repulsively as he sucks the sulphurous hair. With a claw-like finger, he scrapes nervously at the blistered flesh that is stretched tightly across the swollen left side of his face, attempting in vain to hook the head of a snake-like parasite that have burrowed into its jaw. His eye, deep sunken and red-rimmed with the unbearable pain of his affliction, burned with sick fanaticism, and as he listens impatiently to the pleas and excuse being offered by two who stand before him. The man in red and one other, both humbly bowed. The luckless mortal plead their case, speaking in the Vasagonian tongue, a language that you mastered long ago. They speak of delays in the construction of a mighty battleship, of shortages of material, and of too little time in which to finish their work. Their words anger the seated one. He curses them and the floor shudders beneath the weight of his unnatural voice.
You would dare defy me?
He roars.
You would court the anger of Kragen's Cool, Lord of Helgedad? Fools! Know you this. If your work is not completed before the next moon, you shall wish yourself truly dead. 1,000 years of agony shall be the reward for your failure. 1,000 years of undead in the dungeons of Helgedad!
Fired by his own rage, the corpse-like Darklord Kragen's Cool rises from his throne and draws the sword that hangs sheathed at his side. The blade is unlike any that you have seen. It is wholly black, a black so dense that it appears entirely separate from the hilt, like a tear through which you glimpse the nightmare depths of space. He levels the sword at the cowering man to enforce his threat, but the blade rebels. It twists in his hand and points accusingly at the place where you are hiding. The Darklord narrows his feral eyes and a wave of psychic shock buffets your mind. We have side screen. Desperately, you draw on your psychic defenses, erecting a shield to deflect the surge of mental energy that is coursing through your mind. Pick a number for every discipline you possess, including the first 3, add 1. Okay, alright, so we win by default because we have +9. But hey, just for fun. Okay, 2 + 9. The swiftness of your reactions and the degree of psychic mastery you've attained save you from sustaining any injury to your central nervous system. Rapidly the shock fades, leaving you alert and ready to face Darklords Kragenskull. The 2 Vasagonians unsheathed their rapier-tin swords and advanced toward you, secretly thankful that they are no longer the target of Kragenskull's wrath. The Darklord orders them to halt and demands that you step within the circle of the fiery pillar and explain your intrusion. You sense that he has not detected your true identity, that his psychic skills are solely destructive, and that he is, for now, deceived by your Drakrim disguise. I have come from the victorious army of Darklord Gnaag, the conqueror of Cloyasia, with vital information to impart, O mighty lord of darkness, you say slavishly. You speak partly in Vasagonian and partly in Gnaag to maintain your deception. There's a traitor in your court. He has tried to send word to the enemy, to warn them of what is being constructed in Helgedad. I know who he is, and I carry proof of his treachery.
Speak!
Commands Kragenskull.
Speak or die!
I shall speak, O invincible lord of death and decay, but I crave your confidence. Can we not leave alone? Can we not speak alone? You cast an accusing glance at the 2 Vasagonians, and they return your look with fear and hatred blazing in their eyes.
Leave us,
snarls Kragenskull, pointing to the stairs with his jet black blade.
But stray no further than the hall below, and do not disturb us until I call for you.
Reluctantly, the Vasagonians leave, their heads bowed in reverence, but their eyes still fixed murderously on you. As you watch the Vasagonian leave, you hedge nearer to Kragenskull and prepare yourself to launch a surprise attack. You will need all your speed and skill if you are to catch him off guard. From the bottom of the stairs, you hear the steel door click shut and immediately you spin around to face your enemy. But he has a plan of his own, and it is he who catches you by surprise. A crackling arc of blue electrical fire surges from his hand and connects with your chest, shaking you like a helpless puppet on the tip of a fiery lance.
Now, tell me everything you know!
He growls as he increases the current. It is a torture that he has employed countless times, and always it has elicted the truth from his human victims. Your skin tingles and the charge causes you to shiver, yet you feel no pain. Staring down, you see that the crackling bolt is being drawn to the golden amulet that hangs around your chest. Its magical property are neutralizing the evil charge. Kragenskull senses that something is wrong. He breaks off his attack, his bulbous eyes filled with fearful suspicion. He steps back and then utters a curse in the dark tongue, which echoes like thunder around the wall. Black mist pours from his fingers, swirling into a cone that grows into his bony palm. Shadow shapes writ at the core and then gush toward you, engulfing you in a choking flood of deadly crypt spawn. Okay, now decision time. Do we want to use the Summer Sword? Do we use the Dagger of Vashna? Or do we choose to use neither of these? Yeah, we do have the Dagger of Vashna. It still lies into our inventory. But yeah, use a dagger. Don't blow your cover. Oh, 1 vote for using neither. Alright, so far the dagger wins. But yeah. Dagger. Yeah, we've been advised that everything will get fucked up if we pull a sword before the end of the book. Alright, let's use a dagger. The moment you draw the dagger from your belt, a blue flame curses the length of his twisted blade, and the squealing flood of crypt spawns soar upward toward the roof in order to avoid you. They and their creator, Darklord Kragen's recognize the power you wield, and both are in awe and terror of it. Freed from the threat of his loathsome summonation, you now advance upon Kragen's with the dagger before you. He screams in anger and lunges at your head, his sword ablaze with tongues of black fire. You catch the blow on the tip of the dagger, and both blades spark furiously as their terrible power collide. Alright, finally a fight that is, actually worthy of our acumen. So yeah, immune to Bind Blast, but not Psy Surge. You may have 7 points to your combat skill for the duration of the fight, owing to the power of the Dagger of Vashno when used against a Darklord of Helgedad. Alright, so now that will bring our combat skill to 42. And if we use Psy Surge or new and updated Psy Surge, we go all the way up to 48, so our combat ratio is 3. And now we also lose only 1 endurance point whenever we use Psy Surge. So, alright. It's been a long time since we've had, a challenging fight, but now's the time. Okay, with that said, I still need... Okay, alright. Oh, fuck, 2. Okay, that's not a good start. 5 damage to the enemy, 4 damage to us, plus 1 damage because of Psy Surge. Okay, 5... 9 damage to the enemy, 2 damage to us, plus 1. Ah, my god, what the fuck is this row? Okay, 6 damage to the enemy, and 3 damage to us, minus 1 more. Oh, 9! 16 damage to the enemy! And we only lose 1 endurance because of a Psy Surge. Oh, 0! 16 damage! The enemy is dead! We lose 1 more endurance point. Yep, take that, you frickin' jerkwad. That's what you get for being a big mouth of fuck. Your killing blow draws a howl from Darklord Kragen's so loud that it shakes the very foundations of the building. He falls, yet as he does so, his withered frame vanishes before your eyes, leaving only a tattered grey robe and a black sword to mark his passing. Alright, if you wish to keep Helgedad, the sword of Darklord Kragen's mark it on your action chart as a special item. You wrap this sword in the remains of the Darklord's grey robe and carry it vertically tied behind your backpack. When used in combat, it adds 5 points to our combat skill and 7 when used against a Darklord of Helgedad. But in the second and every following round of any fight where we use this sword, or endurance is diminished by 1 point permanently. So, yep. I mean, we still could bring it along, I guess. It's like the fire seeds are not really, doing anything anymore, so, Okay. Minus 1 EP after round 2. Oh. Okay, did I have my endurance point back? No, I didn't. Having recovered from your combat, you quickly leave the chamber by a stair that leads to the roof. There you discover this land beast, Kragen's cool personal wingmount perched on a raised log. Standing nearby is a death knight armed with a spear, staring absent-mindedly over the parapet the harbor lights below. This land beast sniffs the air and shuffles along its perch with a nervous rolling gait. It senses that you are its natural enemy and it's quickly becoming agitated in your presence. You must act quickly and with skill if you are to use this beast to escape from Helgedad. Okay, so now, do we use the bow? Do we approach the Death Knight and tell him that he's wanted at the barracks? Or do we creep up on the warrior and launch a surprise attack? Okay, alright. Kick him in the barracks. Okay, alright, let's go. The Death Knight spins around and lowers his spear when he hears you approaching. He growls like a hungry lion and demands to know what you're doing here. Okay, we have invisibility, add 3 to the number. We've also reached mentor or higher, so we had 2 more points. I mean, invisibility is also well, I was gonna say, invisibility is also finally giving us wonder, but whoops, we blew it. Your attempt at deceiving this elite Drakrim warrior are met with a sneer of contempt. Cursing you as an imposter, he thrusts his spear at your face in an attempt to gouge out your tongue. You cannot evade combat and you must fight your adversary to the death. That's okay, we still have plus 11 combat skill, so we're not in any danger. It's like at that point we probably are just gonna be whittled down a little bit. But that's right, we're not allowed to use the summer sword here. So, okay, at that point, yeah, let's use our Warhammer. At that point, we lose 8 points. That means 35, 38 if we use Mind Blast. Okay, so combat ratio is still 10, even though we're not using the summer sword right now. Okay, 6. 14 damage to the enemy, 1 damage to us. Oh, 1. 8 damage to the enemy, 3 damage to us. Okay, 5. 12 damage to the enemy, 2 damage to us. We win. I mean, I'm trying to not roll low. It's... I don't know, maybe I just need to refresh the random number table. The Death Knight Sentinel stiffens and falls dead at your feet, his black armor and his black heart torn open by the force of your killing blow. A quick search of his body reveals the following item: a spear, dagger, axe, pouch of tobacco, bottle of wine, a pipe, 60 kika, equivalent to 6 gold crown, an iron key, and a meal. So, do we pick up anything in there? I mean, we definitely have room. Right now we have 4 meal. Yeah, let's pick up the key. I mean, there's literally no harm in bringing it along. Okay, do we bring the pipe? I guess let's bring the pipe. Yeah, pipe and tobacco. Tobacco! Alright. There we go. Yeah, now we can taunt people. The leathery slan beast flaps its wing and shifts its weight uneasily from one clawed foot to the other. Carefully, you approach this dangerous creature with your eyes fixed upon its saddle and your nerves on edge, fearing that at any moment it will slash you with its razor hook beak. Okay, we don't have animal control, so okay, let's just roll and see what happens. 2, okay. The winged reptilian tries its best to prevent you from climbing onto its back. It lunges with its beak and you suffer several painful wounds before finally managing to subdue it to your will. You lose 4 endurance points, so yep, we're to 17 and 13. Once a creature accepts you as its new master, it becomes totally obedient to your command. You settle back in the comfortable saddle and then pull on the great gem-encrusted rein and urge it skyward. The roof of Kragen's School headquarters and then Helgedad itself fall away at a breathtaking speed as the creature climbs into the night sky. High above the ironclad fleet, you turn this land beast toward the west and begin your flight to Gnaag. Icy wind tears at your mask and armor as you soar thousands of feet above the southern foothill of the Gnaag mountain range. Were it not for the protection of your golden amulet, the bitter fury of these winds would have frozen you to death within an hour of leaving Helgedad. Yet you feel nothing, save exhilaration and nagging fear of what awaits you in Gnaag. Dawn breaks during the second hour of your flight, and in its dull grey light you glimpse the landscape as it speeds past below. To the south lies the now Zagat, a vast plain of ash and slime-filled rift. To the north lies the snow-capped peak of the Gnaag mountain, and ahead lies an unwelcoming vista, a desolation of stunted, poisonous vegetation and hilly crags. You're tired and hungry after your perilous ordeal in Helgedad and must now eat a meal or lose 3 endurance points. Whatever, hunt mastery. The day is but an hour old when suddenly it begins to get darker. A ceiling of black clouds spreads across the sky, fed by billowing plumes of noxious gases that pour from the cracking craters of the southern waste. Violent electrical storms rage in these plumes, and a thunderous rumbling, like the growling of an angry giant disturbed from sleep, echoes in the bowels of this lifeless hurt. A redness in the clouds grows stronger as this land beast flies westward. It fills the horizon, setting your pulse racing as you sense that Nengud Kohazid, the chasm of fire that surrounds Helgedad, is the source of the scarlet glow. You correct your course, steering this land beast away to the north, and within minutes you catch your first glimpse of Gnaag. It is a grim spectacle, a mass of huge steel buildings grouped haphazardly around the mouth of a frigid estuary, surrounded in turn by a defensive ring of spiked-up earthworks. Everything appears to be eaten by rust, aggravated by clouds of corrosive steam that arise from rivulets of black water crisscrossing the ground. It strikes you as an uninhabitable place, yet its murky thoroughfare are teeming with thousands of gray-skinned creatures, all pulling or pushing great iron carts filled with ore. As this land beast speeds toward the city, you search for somewhere suitable to land. Alright, we have Hunt Mastery with the Kai rank of Principal in. Using your Kai skill, you magnify your vision and scan the buildings below. You see a maze of garbage-choked streets, rusting tenement, and squalid slave huts. All bear the effects of the corrosive atmosphere, except one building, which is situated near the center of the city. It is a tower, tall and unbent, its surface free from any sign of decay. Confident that you have found where the slave master resides, you bring this land beast in to land nearby. A Gnaag, his mouth hanging open in awe of your arrival, stand guard at the tower entrance. As you approach, he bows and stands aside, allowing you to enter the gloomy ground door. A curved steel door slides shut, sealing the entrance and plunging the gloomy chamber into total darkness. Then, a narrow column of yellowy light pours into your head, and a man's voice, loud and full of arrogance, shatters the silence. "What brings you here, Drakkar?" he booms, filling the chamber with resounding echoes. He speaks a curious dialect of Gnaag that sounds vaguely familiar. It is a dialect common in Magador, a border territory now occupied by Darkland armies. "I seek the slave master," you answer. "I have come from Helgedad to report that Summerland is burning." "That is welcome news indeed," comes the reply, in a tone far less severe. The steel door slides open and your Gnaag escort are dismissed. As it clangs shut behind them, the light grows brighter until you can clearly see the man to whom you've just spoken. Before you stands a magnificent warrior, tall and broad-shouldered, clad in purple satin and shiny steel mail. He holds you with his jade green eye and says, "I am the slave master. Remove your mask, Drakkar, and reveal your true self." Yeah, he's not happy. Your Kai senses tell you that he speaks the truth. He is the slave master of Gnaag, and he has recognized the word that identifies you as a fellow agent of the Elder Magi. But the many years he has spent as a servant of the Darklords have taught him to be wary of their subterfuge, and not until you remove your battle mask and he looks upon your unmistakably Sumlending features does he accept you as genuine. "Long have I waited for this moment," he says quietly. "I know why you have come, and I will help you all I can." "But why?" you reply, now suspicious of his true motive. "Why do you desire to betray your masters? Have they not given you the power you crave?" "Aye, that they have, but at a grievous price. Since the war began, they have demanded that the foundries and ore pits of Gnaag produce ever-increasing supplies of black steel. The quotas are impossible, and I fear that the day is close when I will be of no more use to them. Ultimately, the Darklords destroy everything over which they have control. Cities, land, races, even their own kind. The Elder Magi have promised me sanctuary in return for my help, and help I shall, for my life is dependent on your success." He smiles, abused by the irony of his situation, and then he bids you follow him to an adjoining chamber. "Come, you must prepare for your journey to the Black City." You follow the slave master into a chamber filled with marvelous treasures, furniture, and rich trapping, which seem anachronistic here in this foul city. He advises you to take off your Drakrim armor and wear instead a hooded robe woven from a strange silver-gray material. He comments favorably on the golden amulet you wear, assuring you that its protection will be essential for your survival in Helgedad. As you're about to don the robe, he insists that you wear your backpack underneath it. The creature who donated this garment, albeit reluctantly, was tall but possessed a severely crooked spine. In order to gain entry to Helgedad, you must pretend to be that creature. The pack will help to complete your disguise. You ask the identity of the creature and what has become of him. He was one of the Liganim, those who assist the Daziarn sorcerer with their black hearts, replies the slave master. This particular Ligan came here to Gnaag to fetch a quantity of special grade ore for his master's experiment, but the unfortunate creature met with a fatal accident, here, in this very chamber. The trace of a smile on the slave master's face suggests that the accident may not have been quite so accidental. "How am I to get into Helgedad?" you ask, hoping he has planned for this as well. "You will be told in good time, but first I must give you some other information that is vital to the success of your quest." The transfuser, which you must destroy to ensure the end of the Dark Lord, who are now outside the boundaries of this realm, is located in the uppermost chamber of the Tower of the Dam. You will find this tower in a part of the city known as the Imperial Sector. But be warned, this sector is the most heavily guarded area of the city, for it is here that Gnaag himself resides. The slave master takes a strange mask from a nearby table and offers it to you. It is made of a green glass-like mineral and is shaped into an hideous visage. Wear this always. It will keep safe your identity from any casual inspection. You accept the green mask. Mark this as a special item. You need not to discard any item if you already hold the maximum. Okay, alright. And listen carefully as the slave master concludes your briefing. Be on your guard at all time, he says solemnly. The lesser creatures of Helgedad are ruthlessly treacherous breed, forever preoccupied with their complex political intrigues. You will need to be doubly cunning if you are not to fall foul of their willful machination. The robe you wear marks you as one of Darklord Ganesh's minion. He is far away at present, leading his horde in distant Lencia, but his absence will be of little help to you. Avoid all who wear robes of green and scarlet, for they are followers of Xog and Tactal, Ganesh's closest rival. But above all, avoid those who wear silver grey, the same color as yourself, for they know their own kind and are sure to see through your disguise. He walks across the chamber and picks up a curious-looking device by which he is able to tell the time of day. Come, follow me. Now you will learn how you are to breach the defenses of Helgedad. The slave master dons a mask that covers his nose and mouth, through which he is able to breathe safely the noxious air that swirls outside his tower. He takes you to the outskirts of Arnak in his personal chariot to a vast open-cast quarry. The means of your transportation to Helgedad waits at the edge of the quarry's vast crater. Your jaw opens in amazement when you set eyes on the vehicle, for it is gigantic, by far the largest vehicle you have ever seen on dry land. Yep, here's the thing. It's like, oh my god, it's actually really freaking huge. Look at how tiny the people are. It is a Lajakeka, a stone taker, says the slave master, clearly amused by your awe reaction to this wheel Leviathan. It is filled with ore, mined here at this crater that is destined for the furnaces of Helgedad. You are to be a passenger on its return journey to the Black City. However, you will not be traveling alone. There are several Liganim and some other beside who will be fellow traveler. Be wary of them and remember all I have said. Then he bids you farewell and watches as you climb the wide ramp that leads into the belly of the steel beast. Inside it is not unlike a ship, with cabins for the travelers and crew and interconnecting passengers that service the vast cargo holds full of ore. The Gnaag crew members allocate cabins at random, and once you are safely inside yours, you pull the bolt and try to make yourself comfortable on an unpadded steel bunk. Then the screech of metal on metal and the dull throbbing of the Lajakeka's engine fills your ear. The bunk shudders and your pulse quickens. Your journey to Helgedad is underway. You've been traveling for less than an hour when you hear a knock on the cabin door. Okay, we have divination and we've reached the rank of mentor or higher. Your Kai skill enables you to detect that the creature outside your cabin door possesses magical ability. You also sense that he or she is not emitting an aura of hostility. So do we open the door or do we ignore the knock? Alright, open up. Alright. Standing in the corridor outside is a slim, small, seemingly insignificant creature, clad in a loose-fitting garment of plain emerald cloth. His pinched and pallid face is of human proportion, and were it not for his pig-like snout and watery, colorless eyes, he could easily pass for one of your species. "Humble greetings, Zagat," he says, in a syrupy sweet tone that makes your flesh crawl. "I brings the compliments of Baz Dashvul, my worthy master. He invites you to join him in the gallery, where he's about to host an entertainment for his illustrious fellow passenger, to make their journey altogether less tiresome. Will you grace us with your presence, noble Zagat?" So, do we accept the invitation and accompany him to the gallery, or do we decline the invitation? Alright, let's party, avoid green, no going. For one vote for party. Yeah, but party. I mean, so far declining. Okay, no party. The creature smiles, bows, and then shuffles away along the corridor. A quiet, sniggering sound issuing from his thin mouth as he makes his way toward an iron-rung staircase. You watch him disappear up the stairs, and then now you close and lock your cabin door. Tired and hungry, you must now eat a meal or lose 3 endurance points before you can settle down to sleep. After several hours, you awake to the sound of a loud click, barely audible above the increased din of the Lajakeka's engine. And at once you sense that your cabin door is just closed. Swiftly you rise from the bunk and rush to the door, hoping to catch a glimpse of whoever or whatever gained access to your room while you were asleep. Do you have animal control? Nope. An icy cold spike of fear stabs your heart as you feel something wet and slippery land on top of your head. Okay, pick a number from the random number table. If you have the lower circle of light and Solaris, do we have that? Nope, we don't have light. So, alright. It's time to roll well. Oh, alright, we roll 5, just barely. No, because we need animal control and Mentoro. That's why we couldn't do it. Alright. Using your powerful Kai skills to the full, you manage to prise the hideous jelly-like creature from your head and hurl it back to the floor. But no sooner has it hit the steel deck than it springs back at your face, forcing you to defend yourself. Alright. Black! 10 endurance point, with that said 30 combat skill. So now, without the summer sword, or combat skill sinks down to 35. Immune to Mind Blast and Psy Surge. Okay, combat ratio is 5. Yeah, the Killer Jelly. Okay, that's the Killer Jelly soundtrack. I don't know what that is. Okay, 7. So what do we got? Okay, 12 damage to the enemy, no damage to us. Okay, the enemy's instantly killed. Good job, everyone. Still shaking from the shock of this encounter, you examine the ghastly creature carefully, using the tip of your weapon to lift back its many fold of rubbery grey flesh. It is equipped with 2 sets of snake-like fangs, both of which ooze a sticky yellow fluid. Your senses tell you that this fluid is a deadly venom capable of killing a victim in a matter of seconds. Whoever placed this plaque in your cabin was attempting to assassinate you. You flick the remain of the creature under your bunk. As you rise to your feet, you hear a loud intermittent whistle sounding on the deck above. It is the signal that Helgedad has been sighted by the lookout. With your heart pounding at the thought of seeing the Darklord most infamous stronghold for the first time, you leave your cabin and ascend to the level above. With trepidation, you peer through the thick and grimy glass of a hull portal and gaze upon the awesome spectacle that is Helgedad. Perched upon an isle of granite at the center of a vast fiery chasm stands the mighty city fortress, the very core of a cancer that threatens to infect and destroy all that is good in Magnamund. Great walls of black steel encircle it, giving rise to 1,000 spiky towers and turrets which harbor the masters and the minions of darkness. Cue the title! Above the city hovers a seething pall of black smoke that keeps it forever in shadow. Fed by the fumes from the volcanic craters of the Gnaag, this cloud is made all the more noisome by the foul discharges of the Daziarn laboratories, the weapon furnaces, and the hellish breeding pit at the base of the chasm. Irregularly, the darkness is lit by fireballs that seem to form spontaneously among the black vapors. They spin and soar above the city like demonic meteors before exploding or simply melting away in a rain of spark. A bridge of twisted black steel joins Helgedad to the wastelands beyond, and as the Magnakai slowly grinds its way across the span, you look down into the fiery depth of the Hazard, the Lake of Blood, and your courage quail at the terrible sight that meets your gaze. 1,000 feet below, at the heart of the chasm, a seething carpet of nightmare shapes crawl and slither amid rivers of molten rock. They appear to your horrified eyes to be writhing in perpetual agony, and your psychic senses confirm that this is the case. It is their pain, not their bodies, that feed this raging sea of supernatural flame. The city of the Black City open and the Magnakai passes into this terrible realm of evil, along a vast avenue of steel flanked by buildings of hellish grandeur and purpose. You can see red flames glaring at peaked gothic windows and innumerable barred gates that appear like the grinning jaws of dragon. At length, the vehicle grinds to a halt at a place where a huge chute burrows deep into the ground. The crew make preparations to unload their cargo directly into this funnel-shaped hole whilst you and the other passengers disembark. With fear running ice cold in your vein, you scan the fire-swept street and notice that all the other passengers are scurrying toward the tunnel. So, do we follow them and enter the tunnel, or do we just avoid them and the tunnel and explore the street? I don't know. Alright, let's explore. Oh, alright, 1 vote for exploration, 1 for the tunnel, 2 for the explore. Tunnel seems scary. Alright, I'll cast your vote for exploration then. Yeah, and remember, there's many more of these people that may try to kill us. So, alright, let's explore the street. Fighting back your fear, you set off along the soot-encrusted street, keeping your head down and your shoulders forward to maintain your balance against the blasts of fiery wind that lash you mercilessly. At one corner, you happen upon a line of shallow pits all filled with blazing oil. In the middle of each one is a pyramid of stone festooned with chain, to which are manacled by a dozen wretched creatures. They stand waist deep in the flame, and as they scream in pain, a group of Gnaag amuse themselves by pushing them under with the half of their spears. The Gnaag are preoccupied with their cruel sport, and you evade them easily. You continue along the street opposite the torture pit and arrive at a square flanked by 4 tall towers. We have divination and the rank of Archmaster. At once, you sense that you've stumbled into an area of the city that is the domain of Darklord Tactile and his followers. You scan the shadows and windows and notice several pair of watchful eyes regarding you with naked hatred. Slowly, you back away from the square, but you've taken less than a dozen steps when a line of creature begins to emerge from a doorway to your right. They growl menacingly, their feral eyes aglow with bloodlust. Okay, pick a random number. If you have the lore circle of Solaris, add 4. We do have it, so alright. Hopefully that should be fine. Yep, 4 plus 4. You escape from the enemy and hide in a narrow alley where you wait in silence. When you are sure that you're not being followed, you continue through the street of this evil metropolis. The way ahead is lit momentarily by an exploding fireball that showers this sector of the city with a rain of sparking cinders. In the brief light of the explosion, you now see that the street along which you are walking is a cul-de-sac that ends abruptly at a square tower. A creature, its face and body enveloped in a shroud-like robe, stand guard at the entrance to this ponderous building, clutching in its vulture-like claws a stave of iron that crackles with magical blue flame. The sound of howling screams echo in the darkness behind you, warning that you are being pursued. Rather than turn and face your pursuer, you decide to take refuge in the tower, but to do so you must first deal with the guard. Alright, do we use the bow or not? Yep, so far bow has worked well. Quickly you draw an arrow from your quiver and set its notch to your bowstring. The light of the fireball explosion has long since faded, and in the gloom you find it difficult to pinpoint your target with great accuracy. Okay, pick a number, add any missile bonuses to which you're entitled, which is 5. If you possess the discipline of Hunt Mastery and have reached the rank of Heart Master, add an additional 3 points. Okay, so plus 8. Oh, 1 plus 8 equal 9. The screams of your pursuer grow louder with each passing second. Your pulse quickens and you release your arrow before you are sure of your target. The shaft arcs through the darkness and strikes the creature a glancing wound to his shoulder, causing him to yelp in pained surprise. Fearful that his cry will alert those who are following you, you shoulder your bow hurriedly, draw a hand weapon, and run at the guard, grimly determined to finish him off before he raises the alarm. Alright, so now it's time for the fun stuff. Do we use the summer sword in order to kill the creature, or do we choose to not unsheath it? Yep, not yet. Okay, alright. You are in combat with a wounded Vladoka, an elite Daziarn temple guard. Despite his injury, you cannot evade his attack and you must fight him to the death. 22 combat skill, 25, immune to Mind Blast and Psy Surge because of the weapon he wields. Okay, so now 35. Okay, we still have a perfect combat ratio, so I'm not worried. Even without the summer sword, we are a beast. 0 instant kill, game over, return of fuck. Nah, he was just wounded, that's what didn't help. You stoop over the body of the dead guard and search quickly through the pockets of his robe. They contain 2 items, a black key and a black cube. Okay, we have divination, yes. You recognize the black cube to be a Daziarn power crystal, an explosive device that can only be activated by creatures of the Darklands. If you decide to take this item, it is possible it could detonate and kill you at any time. So, okay, I'm gonna guess we'll take the black key, But do we take the black cube? Okay, people want the cube. Okay, so now what are we dumping in order to make a place for it? Okay, alright, it's even. The next person who casts any opinion on the cube will decide whether we carry the cube along or not. Okay, oh god, no. Okay, alright. No cube. You pause just long enough to drag the dead guard's body into the shadow and then slip quickly to the tower. A semi-circular passageway opens onto a hall where a wide steel staircase descends to a torchlit passage. Cautiously you proceed, poised to react to the slightest sound. You hear nothing. The stair and the passage beyond it appear deserted. You follow the passage for nearly an hour before you happen upon something that raises your flagging spirit. As a junction with two other tunnels, your eye is drawn to a large emblem that have been chiseled skillfully out of the granite wall. It is a depiction of a snake skull with two fly-like eyes, surrounded by a circle of fire. At once you recognize this carving. It is the personal emblem of Darklord Gnaag. You study the sign. It must mark the start of a tunnel that leads to the Imperial sector of the city. With your pulse racing, you set off along the torchlit tunnel. You have not gone very far when you see that it ends at a large steel door, guarded by two monstrous creatures clad in heavy plate mail. A smaller door appears to your left, and as you draw level with it, you reach out and turn its handle. The door is locked. Okay, black key. You insert the key and twist it. The lock clicks and the door swings open silently to reveal a stunning sight. A large, low-ceiling room lies beyond, filled with colossal tanks of glass that bubble and seethe with all manner of sorcerous fluids. Glass tube loop and contort in curious shape, connecting the tanks and enabling their content to flow from one to another. The air is heavy with the stench of acid and harsh chemicals, and the walls are lined from ceiling to floor with stoppered jars, each one filled with a brightly colored powder, liquid, or gas. Yep, there we go. The evil Frankenstein wannabe lab of fuckness. On one workbench, a curious harrow-shaped rod is suspended in a field of electrical energy. The crackling fire arcs between two vertical plates of metal, making the harrow glow with a strange phosphorescent light. You take a closer look and see that a lever protruding from the bench itself controls the flow of power. Then you notice that behind the bench there is another door. Do we take a closer look at the rod or examine the door behind the bench? Alright, let's admire the rod. Okay, alright. The rod is a Zagat Dulaga, a poisonous harrow imbued with magical accuracy. If you wish to turn off the power and take this Zagat Dulaga, mark it on your action chart as a special item which you carry in your quiver. The Zagat Dulaga occupies the same space in your quiver as a normal arrow. If you have 6 arrows, you may discard one in favor of the Zagat Dulaga. Alright. So now arrow 4 plus 4 and yeah. Let's just put Zagat. Having satisfied yourself that there's nothing else of practical use, you decide to leave. Alright, do we leave the laboratory by the door located behind the bench, or re-enter the corridor and approach the guards? Okay, I guess door. Okay, let's go in the door. The door is not locked, and beyond it you discover another hall equally as impressive as the laboratory. It is the Imperial Armory, and it is filled with row upon row of fearsome weapons. Do we have a black cube? No, we don't. But hey, just in case that people wanted us to bring the cube. The black cube is a Daziarn power crystal, a deadly explosive charge devised by the Darklands sorcerer. Since you picked it up, the cube has become increasingly unstable, and now, as you take your first step into the Imperial Armory, it explodes with devastating effect. The blast triggers a crystal explosive that you had intended to use to destroy the transfuser, and in the resulting explosion, you and this entire section of Helgedad are blown to smithereens. Your life and your mission will have ended here. You walk through the armory and pass an arsenal of fiendish devices that have yet to be unleashed on the allied army of the Freeland, but are destined soon to be shipped to the battlefront to speed Gnaag's conquest of Magnamund. A passage at the far end of the hall takes you past a barracks-like room where Daziarn sorcerers are busily engaged in the testing of new psychic power upon a group of grey-skinned slaves, mindless Grolt from the swamp of the the fuckwad. Their pitiful screams of agony make you run cold blood, yet you dare not intervene to prevent their torture for fear of jeopardizing your mission. Hurriedly, you climb a staircase that emerges at the foot of a monstrous tower, as black as death itself. Two fireballs split open the rolling black clouds, and in the brilliance of their explosions, you see a huge metallic flag flying from the tower's crystal spire. It is emblazoned with the emblem of Darklord Gnaag, and at once you know that you've found what you're looking for. The Tower of the Dam. Alongside with fancy explosion and thunder strike. As your eyes move down the tower, you notice a large oval platform jutting out from the black steel wall. Perched on this platform is an Imperial sland beast, similar to the one that bore you to Harnack. It too bears Gnaag's sign, branded deep in its leathery hide. Its presence suggests that its master is in residence, and as you cross the courtyard and walk toward the tower door, your senses tingle in anticipation of the confrontation that awaits you within. As you climb the step that leads you to the door, it slides open to reveal the outline of a guard silhouetted against a background of scarlet fire. In a claw-tip hand, he holds several slivers of crystal, each in a different color, and as you reach the top of the step, he draws a silvery gray one and points it at your face.
State your name, minion of Ganesh.
He commands,
I'll be gone from the Tower of the Dam.
You sense that the guard does not suspect you of being an imposter. He's merely performing a routine check on all who visit the tower. To have come this far into the Imperial sector means you have passed through several checkpoints already, and so the guard does not regard you as a threat to his master's safety. In order to be allowed to pass, you must state the name of the Ligand, whose identity and robe you're using as a disguise. So, is our name Kagat or Morgat? Yep. Okay, Kagat. The crystal shard emits a tinkling, bell-like sound, and the guard moves aside to allow you to enter the Tower of the Dam. He points to a column of bright blue light descending from the darkness above and tells you to step into its shimmering rays. You hesitate, and he laughs mockingly at your indecision.
Come on, step in. It's quicker than climbing the stairs.
Your Kai senses tell you that the column is a beam of partial gravity, a transportation device that will draw you slowly toward the top of the tower. You step into the light and feel yourself rising. Minute later, the sensation stops and you step from the beam into a huge dome chamber. The polished wall and floor glisten like the mirrored surfaces of a black lake. The horror of evil hangs everywhere like a thick mist. It closes your throat and threatens to suffocate you. Why, you little... Your heart pounds loudly as you move toward the dais at the center of the chamber, where a machine rests that matches the description of the transfuser that Lord Rimor gave you before leaving Toran. You reach for your backpack, but before you can lift your robe and unshoulder it, the chamber is filled with a roaring growl.
What brings you here, vermin of Ganesh?
It is the voice of Darklord Tactile. From the shadows of an archway, he slithers toward the dais, his smooth, ice-white head swaying upon a fur-covered snake body, riddled with disease. Your stomach turns as you watch a muzzle distend from his face and then split open to reveal a row of razor-sharp fangs. Seemingly, you are a lowly follower of his hated rival, Darklord Ganesh, and you know that if you are to survive, you must answer his command convincingly. Do we tell him we want to defect from Ganesh and serve him instead, or tell him that we have secret information that could destroy Ganesh? Okay, 1 vote for defect, 3 for... Okay, 4 votes for secret info. Alright, let's go. 5 even. Suddenly, without warning, the Darklord emits a hideous screech that fills your head with a terrible stabbing pain. Your mind's under attack from a powerful wave of psychic energy that is capable of destroying your free will. Alright, we have a Psy screen with the rank of Sionkai. Drawing on your considerable psychic powers, you raise a shield to deflect the energies that are assaulting your mind. Tactile shrieks with anger and surprise as he senses that you're not what you appear to be. He has seen through your disguise and your true identity shocks him to the core. You know that if you are to destroy this powerful enemy, you must strike quickly and effectively before he has a chance to retaliate. Okay, do we use the Summer Sword? Do we use either the Dagger of Vashna or El Shesag? Do we use the bow and the Zejar Dulaga arrow? Alright, so far 3... okay. 1, 2... Okay, alright, let's use the arrow. Swiftly, you unshoulder your bow and draw the magical arrow to your lips. Its glowing shaft betrays the power that is locked within it, a power that can kill those who created and harnessed it to murder others. Tactile senses that his doom is near and tries to give vent to a cry of alarm, but the cry dies in his throat as you send the Zejar Dulaga burrowing deep into his evil heart. With a surge of incredible strength, Tactile drags the arrow from his body and collapses at the edge of the dais. A foul black gas hisses from the gaping wound and his body dissolves rapidly and fades until all that is left is a dull gray stain on the shiny black steel floor.
Ganesh will be proud of you.
Comes a voice from the shadows, full of malevolence. It is a sound that strikes terror in your heart, for immediately recognize the rasping tone of your most hated foe, Darklord Gnaag. You spin around to see the ghastly form of Darklord Gnaag emerge from a shadowy archway, its composite eyes glittering evilly. You stiffen at his approach, your muscles lock like coil spring. Your whole life struggle is concentrated into this moment. At last, the time has come to avenge Shakai and rid your world of these evil masters of darkness forever. You feel a transformation taking place deep within you, a growing strength and sharpness of mind. It breathes new life into your battle-weary body and fills you with the certain knowledge that your destiny is about to be fulfilled. Alright, restore all your endurance point. Yeah, that's Gnaag. He's essentially a big mutant fly. The chamber echoes to a loud, rasping snarl full of anger and fear as Gnaag becomes aware of your true identity. You move forward, confident in your strength. But before you can attack, Gnaag fades from sight and a shimmering haze rises from the floor. The mist draws into focus and an eerie cadence, like a distant scream, fills your ear. The phantom mist crystallizes into the shape of a winged beast with glowing ghost eyes. It opens its fang-filled mouth and your mind screams an alarm. Alright, we have divination. Your senses warn you that this creature is being summoned in Gnaag's defense. Its ghostly body is growing stronger every second, and you realize...
He help me. He help me.
Thank you, whoever donated. Oh my god. Okay, your senses warn you that this creature is being summoned in Gnaag's defense. Its ghostly body is growing stronger every second, and you realize quickly that it is feeding on your fear. Drawing on your psychic reserves, you try to erect a mental barrier to prevent this psychic parasite from gorging on your fears. Alright, pick a number. If you've completed the circle of the lower circle of the spirit, add 5. Right, it's time to run shitty again. Okay, that's okay. 4 plus 5. You sense the creature weaken as your psychic barrier prevents your fear, which it needs in order to maintain its strength, from escaping. It howls its ghostly frustration and launches itself at your throat. Alright, supernatural creature is especially susceptible to psychic attack, double all bonuses. We don't even need them. It's like, even using a shitty-ass weapon, yeah. We are outclassing this thing massively. Okay, enemy is instantly killed. As you strike the blow that seals the creature's doom, it disappears, leaving no trace whatsoever. Gnaag roars his anger and lopes awkwardly toward the transfuser, desperate to recall his fellow Darklords to the Black City. Yeah, I'll remove the super arrow. I mean, it's never coming after again anyway. Okay, Gnaag roars his anger and lopes awkwardly toward the transfuser, desperate to recall his fellow Darklords to the Black City. You block his path and feel an eerie force, a tingling electric coldness pass between you. With an unholy scream, Darklord Gnaag unsheaths his sword, Daziarn, and prepares to engage you in a battle that will determine the destiny of Magnamund. Yep, you possess the Summer Sword, yep. You unsheath the Summer Sword, and as the shadowy chamber is flooded with blinding golden light, as if a sun had flared into being beneath its black dome. The steel wall vibrate and then buckle beneath an onslaught of pure energy that is radiating from the sword's blade. Until now, the power of the Sun's Sword has been kept in check, locked and subdued within its divinely crafted blade. Even the surge of power that destroyed Darklord Zagat, the walls of Homeland, was but a candle flicker compared to the searing radiance that is now pouring from its tip. For an instant, you see panic blaze madly in Gnaag's fly-like eyes before he's consumed by the power of the Summer Sword and vaporized to sightless atoms. With a cry of victory, you sheath the Sun Sword and stare at the place where only seconds before your arch enemy confronted you. And that's the end of another chapter. So alright, just for fun, let's actually, let's try an alternate approach. Let's use evil weapons instead. Gnaag's recoil in terror when he recognizes the weapon you wield. Fashioned in the fiery furnaces that lie buried deep in the bowel of the city, it possesses a power that can seal his doom. He retreats and you take up the attack in this momentous struggle. But yeah, the power of the weapon you wield is greatly intensified when used within the walls of Helgedad. Owing to its increased power, add 12 to your combat skill. Darklord is immune to Mind Blast, but not Psy Surge. Alright, let's see if we can win this fight. So now, that's 43, that's with the power of the Summer Sword. But our weapon grants us an extra 4 points. That goes to 47. So now, combat ratio, if we use Mind Blast, we get all the way up to 51 combat skill, which gives us a combat ratio of 1. So, alright, can we somehow win this? Whoops, I need the right scene. I need to have access to my scenes. Yeah, we can't Mind Blast, but we can Psy Surge him. So, hey, it's okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Hold on a second. Wait, I can't even count. What the fuck? It's like it's 43 plus 4, 47. Oh yeah, that's right. We get 6 combat skill. My bad. Okay, so it's plus 3 instead. So, okay, 6. 10 damage to the enemy, 2 damage to us, minus 1 damage because of Psy Surge. 4, 8 damage to the enemy, 2 damage to us, plus 1, oh, whoops. Four, 8 more damage to the enemy, 3 damage to us. Oh, 9. 14 damage to the enemy, and we lose 1 endurance because of Psy Surge. Oh, again, 16 damage. Okay, 2. It's 6 damage to him and 3 damage to us. So 17. Okay, 0 and ding dong, the fucker is dead. It's like we barely even broke a sweat. It's like we lost half of our endurance, but yeah, so much for the Lord of Darkness in all of his splendor. Only a circle of fire-scorched steel marks the spot where Darklord Gnaag finally met his doom. Oh, thank you, GRK, thank you very much. Yeah, only a circle of fire-scorched steel marks the spot where Darklord Gnaag finally met his doom. You look upon this patch of twisted metal and your spirits soar upon the realization that you've defeated your arch-enemy in mortal combat. Mortal combat! But your mission is yet to be completed. Quickly you remove the crystal explosive from your backpack and approach the transfuser. You place it in position next to a shaft connected to the lake of blood from which the device draws its power. Once the crystal is primed, you hurry out of the chamber through the archway by which Gnaag entered. Guided by your instinct, you find your way around the tower to the oval landing platform, and to the means of escape from the Black City which awaits you there. Gnaag's Imperial's land beast. You are high above the city, steering the reluctant land beast eastward to Harnack when the crystal detonates. Within moments, it starts a chain reaction, which destroys the transfuser, reduces Helgedad to a fiery holocaust of shattered granite and twisted steel, and brings about the rapid demise of the Darklord and their armies scattered throughout Magnamund. Your victory's total. At last, you have fulfilled your destiny to avenge the Kai and rid your land of the evil that have threatened her for thousands of years. You return to Summerland a conquering hero, And as Kai Grandmaster, you begin the task of restoring the Kai to their former glory. The chronicle of your struggle against the Dark Lord will pass into legend, inspiring future generations of Kai warriors to keep alive your ideals of bravery, skills, and selfless courage. Yet the saga that is the story of your life does not end here. In future time, the chronicle will tell of the adventures you undertook during your Kai Grandmastership. Until the time come for their telling, may the gods Yshir and Kai watch over you, Grandmaster Lone Wolf, hero and savior of Summerland. So yeah, that's the end of Lone Wolf. At the very least, his adventures as a Kai Master. We have now fully ascended through the Magnakai. We have defeated the Darklords. We've inflicted a defeat upon them that they will never ever recover from. And at long last, we're going to be able to start a new order of the Kai. Yeah, the reward for playing all the books is an insta-kill on the final boss. And even then, you saw that we didn't really need it. I mean, yeah, we can finally control Animal, but hey, at this point, the skill is already outdated because now we're gonna have to pick the Grandmaster version of the thing. Also, I'm not sure that this is how they enlist people in the Kai, not with the powers of the boner. Oh yeah, with the evil sword, the fight is hard just because, hey, it saps your life continuously, so therefore, it's kind of a race against time. But that's okay, because we had the dagger, and therefore, everything was okay. So yeah, that's it. That's all of Lone Wolf's adventure, until comes a time where we're going to undergo his trials as a Kai Grandmaster, but I say for now, let's take a break of Lone Wolf. He definitely had the time to shine again throughout Fiesta, but now it is time for him to go back in his monastery and try to actually kickstart a new order of the Kai.